bomb.
Yeah,
it's
get in the
really
hole.
good.
Get in the hole.
Welcome into Circle Zero. Here we are at the mobile studios of the Disc Golf Pro Tour in Oakland, California, getting ready for the fourth stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour series, the San Francisco Open. Man, it is good to be out here. We are at a completely new park. There's never been a big tournament out here, and usually if you're at a place where there's never been a big tournament, that kind of makes you feel a little bit uneasy. But the San Francisco disc golf community, man, they are holding this place down. Tons of work has been done out there. It is an amazing course. It is a unique course, and it's going to make the challenge of winning this event greater than I think we're all expecting right now. You think, okay, as you're going into a ball golf course, well, absolutely, that just means Eagle and Simon, right? That means the biggest arms, double G, somebody like that, they're going to have a definitive advantage. Not really. Matter of fact, I think the guys that can throw the furthest are the ones that have to worry the most about getting into trouble, because when you get aggressive out at this course, it can really put you behind the 8-ball. So the big arms, the Eagles, the Simons, the double Gs, they're going to have to play very, very smart in order to manage this course. So unlike every other event where there seems to be a favorite going in, I think that any of the players that are in the top 10 of the Pro Tour points series, I think any of them could win. However, it's going to come down to a few things. Do they have not a huge throw, but they need to have sufficient distance. This is a 9,998 foot par 62 course. You're going to have to be able to throw it far. That's a given. Number two, a lot of these baskets are really parked right behind either some trees, some bunkers, some greens, right on the edge of OB. You're going to have to be smart when you're approaching the green. And the third thing that's really stuck out to me at this place is depth perception. There are some enormous prehistoric looking trees out here. And what that does is it throws off how far you think you need to get a shot. I have drastically overthrown and drastically underthrown shots during my practice rounds out here at Glen Eagles Golf Club. So I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for that 35 to 45 foot range putt of where players are, they're not exactly dialed in on their distance going into the basket. Now, with this course being the size that it is, everybody has come out here to practice, but this isn't a course that you can run through 2 or 3 times in a day and feel good the next day. I'd be willing to bet the most anybody's had is probably 3 practice rounds out here, maybe 4. I would be shocked if anybody had more than that. Because it's so up and down, because it's so long, and because it takes so much out of your legs to go up and down all of those hills, and your arm because you're throwing such big shots, it's going to be open to anybody. So let's take a quick look at who our top 10 in points are right now. So, of course, we've got the obvious ones up top. Ricky, Paul. And then after that, it is the list of names that you would expect. Nate, Double G, Conrad, Big Germ, Oakley, Johnny, Eagle, and Drew. Now, here's the funny thing about this list of players. Everybody on this list, and this is the top 10 over all 3 events. Eagle is the only one that hasn't played all 3 events. He's only played 2. Every one of them has at least one finish outside of the top 10, even Ricky and Paul. Now, the exception to that is Eagle, but he didn't play one of the events, so we can't really count that, right? So, these guys, all of them have the skills to win. Can they put it together on this course? I am so excited to find out. Now, let's talk about our FPO side of things. This has been the Paige Pierce year. Talking about the Disc Golf Pro Tour, talking about the National Tour, she has not lost an event that she has entered this year. So we have to give her the advantage for a couple of different reasons. Number one, because she's playing better than everybody else in the field right now. Number two, this is the sort of course where distance is going to help. Now, she doesn't have that same sort of problem that Eagle and Simon have, that where the super distance is going to get her into trouble. She has the kind of distance that's going to give her an advantage over the rest of the field there. Now, who do I think can come in and give her a challenge? Well, I think Val Jenkins at this course, she's going to be able to put it in the middle and manage herself well out there. And your angles on this course are extremely important. You have to land in the good spot, and you've got to be able to approach the basket from the right spot. And I think Val has enough power to be able to do that. And then I've run into Katrina 2 different times out here on the course, and she is putting her work in. I look for her to rebound from kind of an off year. She had a good showing last week at De La. I look for her to build on that and to really be able to challenge and to put up some good scores out here at the San Francisco Open. Man, I'm very excited about getting out to this course. So let's get going. You ready to start some disc golf? Let's go see how it's going to happen today. All right, hey Drew, how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Thanks for sitting down with us for a couple minutes.
You're welcome.
So we're California. You're a California dude, right? Like you grew up. How far away was it? Thousand Oaks?
No, Fair Oaks.
Fair Oaks. Sorry, Thousand Oaks is down south. That's like where Price is Right happens or something.
Couldn't tell
Okay,
you.
all right. I don't know.
About an hour and 45 minutes from here.
Okay.
Just go.
So is this the type of golf you're used to? What's golf like in Fair Oaks?
Real short and real wooded.
Okay, so not like this at all.
The opposite of this.
Okay, all right. So, okay, you're a professional athlete. Like, what was it like before disc golf? What were you doing to kind of solve that need in your life?
Dirt bikes and baseball probably.
Okay.
Like my 2 big things. I may play baseball from when I was like 5 until middle of high school, and then stopped playing baseball, got hurt, and then ended up playing disc golf. But raced dirt bikes for like 4 years straight. Like Fast Friday, they had like a Sacramento Raceway thing for like probably 4 years, then took a little bit of a break, then got back into it recently, but then sold my bike again.
So is this like speeding around a dirt track, or is this like flying through the air sort of racing?
Both. Like it's like motocross, so it's like jumps and like, you know, it's motocross, so it's not like just flat track.
That's crazy. Like those guys that fly through the air, yeah. Like I have no desire to do that at all.
Somewhere on my Instagram of me like jumping something in Marysville.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you're more talented than I thought.
Thanks.
Okay, so I saw this picture of you on the Dodgers.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty, like you and Yasiel Puig are like buds,
We're
right?
homies, yeah.
Yeah.
We go way back.
And
we go back to about 17 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So mixed in with these pictures, there's some good ones. You know, you got you and your mom and your dad, right? You know, little baby Drew. We've got some other baby pictures, but then we've got this picture with this outfit. Is this velour? What's this brown and blue?
I think it's corduroy.
Corduroy. Like that's some serious groove you got there. Like what happened there? Do you remember this outfit?
No, I don't remember. I think that was my dad was just like, hey bro, you gotta take some pictures. Here's the outfit, put it on. Go sit there.
If I could go to some Goodwill here in San Francisco and find that, would you wear it during Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, I'd wear it again. Pay a little homage to my father.
Okay, so like how did you get into sports? Was your dad kind of a sports guy getting you into it, or?
Yeah, my dad was like Olympic swimmer, played baseball, played basketball, like played everything. So it was basically like all I did when I was a kid was like it was either like my sporting events at work, his work, or my sporting events. So it was like a lot of events where it was like no matter what, it was just sports. That's all we did. Like my dirt bike, my baseball, my this, my that. I think I even played like 2 seasons of basketball. Like everything we did was like sports. So I was single dad, so it was just like everything we did was sports related. There was no like, oh, let's go do this, oh, let's go watch a movie. It was just like, hey, if we're gonna do something, it's gonna be the batting cages, it's gonna be something sports related.
Sure.
So
he was an Olympic swimmer?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really cool. Okay, so now when you are, you're in a tournament or you're at a city for a tournament, like once that's done, like what are you doing? Do you head back home? Do you go out life on the road? Are you like taking camping trips to the Grand Canyon? Like how do you spend your time away from disc golf?
Definitely not camping trips.
Okay.
I'm not a state parker.
All right.
But no,
you're like out of the normal. There's so many disc golfers that just want to go.
Everyone else wants to live in a hammock.
Yeah. Not you?
Not me.
No?
No, I don't. It depends on where we are and how far we have to go to the next place. So,
Okay.
like, after Santa Cruz, I live 2 hours away, so I went home for 4 days.
Right.
But sometimes it's, the tournament's over, we have to drive 2.5 days to get to the next tournament. So it just kind of depends on, like, where we are and who we know, because it's like if you're staying in a hotel, you're not going to stay there an extra few days to go do something. So it's like if you're staying at someone's house and you can make plans to go do something else, then yeah, but it just kind of all depends, at least for me, where I am.
Okay, so what's your favorite part about life on the road? Do you have a favorite part?
Yes.
Or are you just grinding?
Both. I'm in a mixture of both. Like, I like the grind and it's fun, but like getting to see all these different places that most people don't get to see. Like, I get messages all the time, oh, it's so cool, you get to go do this and that. I mean, they don't realize how hard it is to be out here and like compete week after week after week, but like it is cool. Like, most people, I'm only 22, so most people my age aren't getting to like go to a different city every week and compete/work. Like, I have a pretty unique opportunity, so that's probably like the coolest thing is like, even looking back on it, when I'm probably in my 40s, I'd be like, oh man, I got to, for 8 years, just say I got to travel the country and the world and play disc golf professionally.
Well, now that you've sold your bike, I think you'll make it to 40. So congratulations.
Thanks.
I hope so.
I mean, the car could kill me still, so.
well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
We haven't made it out of the safety zone yet.
Okay, all right.
Hello everyone and welcome to the next stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm your host Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Dixon Jowers, and we're here in San Francisco. I think we're seeing the action start a little early, so we're going to catch right up with it. We're not even ready here, Dixon, but a moment ago I think Eric Oakley drove, and it looks like we got Patrick Brown on the tee. Hole number 1, par 4, 668 feet. Where's the trouble here?
This giant blackberry bush off on the right-hand side. It will eat your disc and never get it back if you turn anything over. But the hole is 668 feet down there on the right. If you wanted to try to clear all of that nastiness, it's probably 450 or so. The players are looking to either turn something over out to the left or go right over the blackberry bush with a big hyzer.
And of course, Ricky Wysocki, who we saw leave his last Pro Tour event as a champion in Jonesboro. He's here trying to pick up another Disc Golf Pro Tour win. Looking forward to a great weekend. Danielle and the rest of the crew are going to be heading out. We're going to do our best to keep up with them. Again, they're actually getting started a little bit early on the board and everywhere else. People always say, well, when are we going to get started? Are things on time? Well, they're early.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, disc golfers, pretty much anybody that throws Frisbee is usually late to wherever they go. So, hey, we're getting started on time. And actually, we missed Eagle's drive, so I'm not even sure where he's sitting at right now. I'm going to assume pretty good. If he had gone over the blackberry bushes and not gotten back in, he would have already taken a drop. So I'm assuming a pretty decent drive by Eagle.
Well, as always, whenever we're wrong, check UDisc. They usually have it correct. So make sure you check in with our partner over at udisc.com. They follow every single throw that's given throughout the day. You can see where the putts and the distances are. We are just a few miles away from the course at the moment. And so if we say, oh, that looks like 68 feet, it really might be 62. UDisc will know.
Yes, way more than we will. Absolutely. And man, I love everything that UDisc is doing. I ran into Paige Bjerkes on the course earlier. As she was getting to tee off on 9, she hadn't even given her score to the scorecard yet, and I already knew that she got a par on her hole. So as I was walking up, I said, nice par. And then the person on our card said, hey, Paige, what'd you get? So, I mean, it's that fast. That on top of it, and I love that this has come to disc golf.
Well, Matt and Josh out of Minnesota said it all originated because they wanted to find courses close to them, and there wasn't a really good app that did it for them, and then that obviously ended up evolving into so much more, and they're helping revolutionize the entire sport with their services. So again, udisc.com. We're going to be checking in with them. We'll be able to give you the stats, the scores, percentages, and without trying to spoil too much, we'll also talk about some of the other scores that are coming in from around the course.
Yeah, and really, if you're into UDisc, wait around for the beta. We've been testing that lately, and there are some fantastic upgrades coming that I'm very excited about. And I'm just excited to see how everybody's going to do out here on the course. So let's catch up with Mr. Oakley as he attempts to forehand into the green here.
Would it be fair to say, Dixon, as we're taking a look at this very first hole, it's great to have that backhand forehand complement someone like an Eric Oakley, obviously a Ricky Wysocki. Do you feel like all those tools will be needed out on this course?
100%. There are a lot of baskets that are tucked right behind a tree, right behind a bunker, right behind a green, just over a cart path, all those sorts of things. And if you don't have multiple options on how to approach a basket, you're going to get in trouble. The angles on this course are what's important, not necessarily the distance, even though it is just shy of a 10,000 foot course. Getting to the basket from the right spot is hugely important now.
Patrick Brown hits the tree on the left side. That still puts him near the pin. That's going to be looking at a birdie opportunity. And you talked a little bit about where we saw Eagle land, and it looked like he was just about to approach his lie. He's going to be getting there in a moment. I think it's going to be a relatively easy up and down for him. Eagle looking to get off to a great start with a birdie. Now, on the women's side, and we'll real quickly talk about them, we tried showing you their action earlier. We gave that to you just before today started. Madison Walker opening with a huge birdie putt here on one.
Yeah, 3 on this hole is fantastic because there's no way to be parked off the turf. You're going to have 2 quality shots like Eagle just did right here. But even so, a lot of these, I think there's going to be a lot of circles edge putts today. Based on depth perception, based on the way that the baskets are protected, I think somebody's going to have a hot putter if they want to get up to the top of the leaderboard.
All right, well, in our who is that Homer telling us that the audio on the course,
I couldn't go around the tree without
coming in just a bit hot. We'll see if we can get that adjusted for you. They're also talking about the wind, and I spoke with Nate Doss about the wind the other day, and he says it's almost always windy as we watch Ricky Wysocki approach to the pin.
Yeah, it's been for the last couple of days, the kind of constant wind has been 10 to 15, but they say you should always expect more than that. So expect, at the very least, there should be gusts up to 20, maybe up to 25. And it's something that's going to definitely have to be taken into account for these players. There are giant walls of trees that will protect you in some spots, but that also makes for giant wind tunnels in other spots. So depending on where you are on the course, it could be a very difficult wind to manage.
All right, well, and I know Nate spoke of not only just the bay, but also some of the hills and the mountains that surround us. All of those things definitely play a factor in how the winds may swirl or come upon us.
And there's Patrick hitting that tree that was coming in, which gives him, there's the circle 1 flag right there in front of him. So just outside of the circle, I think we're going to see many opportunities for those sorts of putts today. And if you're not familiar with Patrick Brown, PB there, he does hours and hours and hours of work for the San Francisco Disc Golf Club out at Golden Gate Park, doing work out here. So fantastic that we could get to feature him on the feature card here. He is a high quality player and a high quality local course worker as well.
Not quite enough for Oakley as he comes up short on the straddle. And Wysocki has thrown his approach to here, so he's looking at just a tap in and getting things started with a par as he gets up and over the edge. We're also going to be bringing you hole previews thanks to our friends over at Central Coast Disc Golf. I believe Johnny Football or Johnny Disc Golf, Johnny Floppy Hat, I'm not, wherever he's out there, he's out on the course filming right now.
Lewis Bitney, is that what you mean?
Yeah, him as well. Patrick Brown's going to tap out here on hole number 1. Again, hole previews throughout the round here at the San Francisco Open. We'll see you in a moment.
Hole 2 marks our first par 3 out here at Glen Eagles, coming in at 378 feet of pure hyzer. The OB cart path does play right and beyond, so fair warning if you're trying to get too testy with that cypress on the right. If our competitors do happen to fall out of bounds, they have the option of re-teeing from our FPO tee, which is cut in short. The out of bounds is not the only danger, as putting into the wind will be a bit tricky, as this hole does play home to a first of 3 raised baskets, brought to you by the Pro Tour.
So Eagle carding the lone birdie there on hole 1, and he is going to tee off again here first on hole 2. A big hyzer is necessary, and you gotta miss that one tree you see down in the fairway there. Everything right of that tree is out of bounds, and you gotta keep it high coming into this green. Looks like he has his distance right, but he may be over there kind of in the underbrush. This tree, because, man, it is right where you want to be coming in, and you have to make a decision to go really big around it or kind of in front of it. You just don't want to hit it. That cart path that goes right underneath it. Oh, right where Eric is going. Can he get in front? Yeah, there he goes. Oh, baby. Yeah, okay, right there. That's where you want to go.
A great looking run there by Eric Oakley. I'm hoping that Oakley has found a way to maintain his heart rate. Usually he's fangirling a little bit when he's around Eagle McMahon. So I'm hoping that he's in check and ready to go. It looks like that was a great shot though.
I really look forward to watching Pat play because I think he's probably going to have some lines and some ideas on this course, because he's one of the few people in this whole field that will have had a lot of experience on this course, as well as a very high rating to go with. Oh boy. Ricky catches the edge of that tree. I don't know if he stayed inbounds or not.
It looks like Ricky's having some problems with his finger. A few of you have noticed that already. Let's listen to a word from our sponsor here on hole 2.
So here they go heading down. I still don't know exactly. Oh, Ricky is on the cart path. So he is going to be heading to the drop zone, throwing his now third shot, well, his second actual shot, but 1 penalty stroke added. So Ricky is laying 2, throwing 3, and this is not the easiest drop zone to handle. You can see the trees and the grass is blowing around there in the breeze. Ricky is going to have to manage this shot. You know, he's starting off not so great. He had a bad upshot on 1. Now he's got an OB drive on 2. He's got to get it together so that he can try to get his single bogey on hole 2 and move on to the rest of the course.
And I was just about to mention, you saw the trees and how much those leaves and branches were wavering around out there. But then also as he approached, you saw the actual Innova flag, Innova being our presenting sponsor here of the San Francisco Open. You saw just how much the wind was blowing out there. It'll be interesting to see if maybe in the morning when the women's rounds are going off, if we're going to see any more or less wind. Traditionally, you'd like to say, well, there's less wind in the morning, but San Francisco climate and weather is not like a lot of other places.
Yeah, it can be smoking hot, or you can have to have a sweatshirt at all hours of the day, even if it's supposed to be 80 degrees. This place has really thrown me for a loop the last few days.
One thing we are seeing in the weather is it looks like a high of 60 to 63 each of the 3 days of play. So definitely not going to be a scorcher out there. Patrick Brown's birdie is just off the side of the basket there. And Ricky Wysocki with a little bit of work to do, and this is for a bogey.
And Ricky doing what Ricky does. I just got a piece of interesting information. So some of you may have known that Ricky has had a blister on his forefinger of his, you can see him looking at it right there. He had a Band-Aid on that and he ripped it off of his finger as soon as he threw his drive OB there on the second hole. So he was attempting to play with that impediment on his finger, and it is not going to work. It'll be interesting to see if that is an injury that can get worse or if it's just something he's going to have to deal with.
Solid putt. That's a birdie there for Eric Oakley. It's going to move him to 1 under par, putting himself on the board here on hole number 2. And Eagle looks to have a similar result, just a little bit closer. So he will be able to get somewhat of a wind read, as his putt will be almost from the exact same spot.
Yeah, they are on top of a little mesa here. So even though he has a giant forest behind him, look at the way all of those flags are bending.
A lot of great suggestions coming in off the board for Ricky, how he can adjust for his ailment.
Nice hit by Eagle. Are any of those suggestions like actual suggestions or are they internet suggestions?
They seem to be pretty good. I know you worked with Ricky. We'll talk about that a little later in the show, but you worked with Ricky as he took in some feedback from the internet disc golfers. But some of them seem to be good, talking about glue and so on and so forth. We'll catch up with you guys. We're through 2 holes. We'll be back in a few moments after the preview.
Hole 3 looks to play its role as the last stage in the calm before the storm. Coming in at 444 feet, this par 3 is one of the more gettable holes out here on the course, playing downhill and left to right by nature. Power and precision is required on the sidearm shot or extreme touch on the backhand turnover. The cart path left of the pin does not play OB, but that Disc Golf Pro Tour wall to the right will, as competitors look to stay safe on the left side and putt back towards the OB.
Tempercraft USA. Double walled 18/8 stainless steel construction keeps it cold while you're hot, keeps it hot while you're cold. Get your customized growlers, tumblers, and sports bottles. With a lifetime warranty and 1% back to the planet. Tempercraft USA. Temper your thirst.
Rejoining us is on hole number 3, Eagle McMahon lining up a forehand. Started off great, birdie on the first 2.
This hole sets up really well for that forehand, but those same blackberry bushes are hanging out there on the right, so you have to make sure that you get around those. This hole actually reminds me a whole lot of hole number 1 at the De La Ball Golf Course that we just saw this last weekend. Same sort of shape, same sort of basket that is downhill from the tee as well as relatively close to out of bounds. Well, Eric had a tighter line off the box, but his stood up a little more than Eagle's. Eagle's ended up right at circle's edge, and Eric, like Eric is wont to do, is right next to Eagle.
I'm sure one of the 2 of them would think that's adorable. Patrick Brown, not necessarily a strong forehander when it comes to distance shots, so he's going to play the turnover.
If he can get that to pan a little bit, it'll be nice. Yes, very nice, Patrick. And just like, I was kind of wondering in my head, looks like Ricky's going with the roller here, like hole 1 at De La.
Very interesting play, knowing that Ricky is, arguably one of the best forehanders in the game, and looks like he may be hitting up against that black ink disc fence, and we're going to see if we can get an official call. And the spotter's got to head all the way back out. What is the call?
Oh, the suspense.
All right. Guess nobody needs to know.
Oh, she was just checking out for herself. She was just really curious.
I'm going to call it safe.
I got to imagine so against that wall. And so maybe Ricky threw the roller because he knew the wall was there and he could dump into it, or maybe that blister on his finger is making it so that he cannot throw the forehands very well.
I believe we got a word from our sponsor coming up.
Back it up.
And speaking of backing it up, we are back here with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I think it's safe to say we are in the thick of the action here for the disc golf season. We've seen a couple of Pro Tour events. You just mentioned a moment ago, we were in Santa Cruz for a national tour event. People are getting really excited, and if you're not following along, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever it might be, I think you're missing out on some great action.
There's so much quality golf going on. So many great tournaments. So many tournaments that are drawing all of the big names. It used to be that a lot of the big names were scattered around the country, but you're seeing concentration week after week after week between the National Tour and the Pro Tour. It's fantastic.
And you've got to love Patrick Brown's authority when he putts. That was very aggressive, no problems. He was outside the circle, so he'll pick himself up a little circle 2 stat there. And it looks like Eagle maybe is just a step or so inside circle 1.
Solid putt there by Eagle. Looking right at that out of bounds. Not that it's terribly close, but it is down slope from the basket. So if you are high enough to go in the chains, you are probably high enough to go right over that sponsor wall from Black Ink Discs.
Eagle with a great start, 3 for 3. And Oakley follows up with a birdie of his own. That leaves just Ricky Wysocki, who must be closest to the pin. And after throwing that roller, it looks like he may have either hit up against the wall, which is maybe why the spotter was trying to chase it down to see if it possibly jumped up and over or busted through the wall, but it doesn't look like it did. And Wysocki is hoping to complete the star frame here.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, not what you would expect. And Wysocki again looking at his finger. It's certainly irritating him. We're going to move on to 4 and get a whole preview from Central Coast Disc Golf.
The 513-foot par 3 hole 4 offers 2 distinct strategies for our competitors. Play the safe backhand hyzer followed by the safe sidearm hyzer to collect your par 3, or hope fortune favors the bold and rip it into the trees. A true risk-reward hole, this offers distinct scoring separation for all our players out there, as the long throwers do have the advantage on the birdie 2, but the placement shots off to the left avoid all the nasty.
So this is hole 4. They're saying it is a par 3. I'm not buying it. This is coming in as the 3rd most difficult hole. So far, 1% of the field has birdied.
Sounds like you're setting up for a trivia question there.
Oh my goodness.
And how quickly is it going to move to 2% with a drive like that?
Well,
how far away is he at that point?
So there's a big tree that I thought, when I was sitting out in the fairway with what I thought was a good drive, because I thought this was a par 4, the tree that I laid up to that I thought was right on the basket was really about 30 short. Eagle looked like he was short and left of that. This line to try to get to the basket is super aggressive and super far. Eric tries to get it, but he catches up some shrubberies there. He's going to have a little bit of work for his up and down. Yeah, I just threw hyzer over the top of that bunker that these guys are going over, trying to get out to the left and set myself up for an easy approach to the basket.
Wysocki with a very low release, and again, he's looking at his finger as he walks off that tee pad. Let's listen to a word from our sponsor. Now, Dixon, one of the things that plays in to every single golf course design with disc golf are bunkers, sand traps, bunkers, greens, all of those types of things. What are some of the ground rules out here this weekend for when someone does find themselves in a bunker or a green?
The bunkers out here are playing as hazard. So Ricky is in there. He does not get relief from that, but he is throwing with a penalty stroke. The greens are playing as out of bounds. So here Ricky needs to get up and down from a very tough spot for his bogey. This bunker he's only a little over 300 off the tee, and he's got another 200 to go to get to the basket on a weird angle.
It is a very well protected green, as you were just saying, and it's also at a slight downslope, which is why we're seeing Wysocki really take his time here.
I'm going to guess he's going to go up high with the forehand. He's got to put some height on this to get it down into the trees enough. Oh no, he goes with the dead straight shot through the gap. And who knows where that went. Could be parked, could be 50 over the top, could be 100 short.
Wysocki certainly a very aggressive play, trying to go right through that gap. I know we just spoke of the weather out there. We're seeing a few different outfits even. We see some long sleeves, some short sleeves, pants, shorts, a little bit of, I guess I would say, whatever is most comfortable for you, but you're not going to see everyone in one exact style or outfit out there this weekend, that's for sure.
It's the disc golf fashion show out there these days. So you can see Patrick here, he went with that same power shot that Eagle took and hit the line, but Patrick did not hit the line clean, so now he is scrambling from, I'd say, maybe 150 or so through the trees. He's thinking maybe jump putt, he's thinking maybe flick. We'll see what he goes with. Oh, very nice touch on the little baby flick there. That's going to leave him about 20 downhill. Great spot to be after his drive. So Eagle looks to be continuing his hot start. Oakley is starting out very well. If you notice, when it posts their score, it's saying that Eagle, he's tied for 14th. There's 123 players, and he's only 3 down. That ought to tell you how difficult this course is playing if 3 down is putting you in the top 15. Traditionally speaking, the locals were telling me that somewhere right around even or even 1 over might be a 1,000 rated round. Oakley laying up right on top of Patrick's disc, it looks like. So now we're going to see if Eagle's drive is closer than Ricky's upshot.
Not something you would normally be able to even ask about. And speaking of asking, yesterday when I ran into Nate Doss, I said, what do you think might be a good score out here? And he said, well, it's really tough to tell. But I think if someone were to shoot an Ironman par, as in par 54, I think that would be a really solid score out here. Mm-hmm. Any guesses what the hottest score in the clubhouse is right now?
Well, being that you're phrasing it this way, I'm going to guess that 54.
You got it. Right now, the hot score in the clubhouse is Simon Lizotte. That's an 8 under par. It looks like he had 1 blemish throughout the round. That was on hole number 7.
Wow.
And Eagle McMahon, certainly, if he keeps on this pace, clearly he will be challenging that hot score. He is 3 down through 3, looking at an eagle putt on hole 4.
Oh, man, and a little fist pump to send it home. What a start by Eagle. And actually, for most of the FPO crowd, as well as the start of the MPO crowd, the front 9 was playing much more difficult than the back 9. And here, Eagle is absolutely filleting it.
It was interesting to see the stark contrast as I was putting together the women's footage. This front 9 being incredibly long, lots of par 4s, a few par 5s, and then the back 9 very much more traditional in terms of the length that you see in disc golf.
And Ricky, 2 over after 4 holes. This is a shocking start for him.
Patrick Brown with an easy downhill birdie look, and he'll walk away with just that. He moves to 1 under par. Eric Oakley definitely within cleanup range. And with that, we're going to move on to hole number 5. Again, hole previews brought to you by Central Coast Disc Golf.
Looking to take its place as the signature hole out here at Glen Eagles, this 1,033-foot par 4 is a combination of 2 holes on the traditional 18-hole course and is a distinct advantage for our long throwers out there. Ideally, you are placed on the right side of the fairway because this golf green and sand trap are going to come into play on your right to left hyzer approaching the pin. This hole played the highest above par in the pro field during the SFO preview event.
As Corey just mentioned a moment ago, trying to claim the signature hole title here on hole number 5. How does this one look for you?
Long, far. If Corey didn't stutter, if you were paying attention, he did say it was 1,033 feet, but he also said that it was a par 4. That means you need to have 2 500-foot shots and a putt to get a birdie here. Now, this drive is downhill. And at least as far on as Tuesday on this week out here, it was a left to right tailwind, so really good win for the Bombers. But it's going to take a massive drive and then a long shot to a protected green, over bunkers, over a ball golf green. A 3 on this hole, man, they deserve a pat on the back.
And they would just be walking away with the birdie, as you said. Fences, OBs, bunkers, there's a little bit of everything that comes into play here on hole number 5. And it looks like our players are a little bit held up as we're taking a look at the leaderboard right now. Simon Lizotte Sitting in first place, Nate Doss, James Conrad, and Nate Sexton all sitting in a tie for second. No surprise, Double G continuing to perform well. Paul Macbeth tied with him at the moment in a tie for fifth.
And those top four names there, they are all in the clubhouse already. So while they are fantastic scores, as you can see, Double G and Paul, 5 down through 12, they've still got some ground to make up and some holes that are very birdieable coming in towards the end. And don't forget about this McMahon guy who's apparently going to shoot an 18 under today. This is a fantastic start to the round. I don't think Nate had it in his mind to say that a 46 would have been a good score today, going 18 under from that 62. Eagle starting off fantastic. Rick, not so much. And I don't know about everybody else out there, but I definitely moved around my fantasy lineup all over the place so that I could get both Paul and Rick in there. And now I'm wishing I had not done that.
How's that working out for you?
Not so good right now, but hey, Paul started out bad at De La. He was in 197th place or something like that, and came back and got third. So hopefully Ricky, I mean, he's only 2 over, and really that doesn't even put him halfway through the pack. He's still in the top half of the field. Hopefully he can figure out whatever is going on with his finger here and get ready to dig in and get some birdies back.
Well, and it looks like we're catching up with what I believe is our second to last card of the day, as our feature card was waiting to tee off, and this is exactly why they are still waiting.
Is that is that Landon? I'm not sure who that is. I can't make out the guy there on the hole. But so this hole is so wide open, and you think, oh well, I'll just rip. I'll just bomb whatever I want to. Well, it doesn't quite work out like that. You can go a long way the wrong way in both directions. Because you're throwing from an elevated spot, if you turn something over hyzer, you can go way left, and there's actually a fence that you would never think is in play from the drive, but it definitely comes into play. I won't say it was me, but someone threw a disc, and one of my discs, and landed pretty close to that fence on a bad shot. It was probably me. It was me. I'll just go ahead and say it was me. And when it was flying through about halfway through the flight, I thought it was a good shot. But it just got a little bit stable and went forever to the left. Really tough spot to try to get up and down from.
And thanks to our friends over at UDisc, we're going to be able to check in and be able to give you the scores, some stats, and some details from all around the course. And I was doing just that to make sure who we had and then possibly see where they were at within the overall standings. And it looks like on this second to last card of the day, we have Charlie Cavalier, Landon Knight, Tristan Lucerne, and Alex Russell.
Yeah, so that was Landon up against the tree working on the forehand. Landon, a golfer I've known from North Texas days. And matter of fact, Landon has learned a lot of his game from Bradley Williams. If you watch Landon play, you'll say that guy throws a lot like Bradley because he learned a lot of his skills from Bradley. That's why Landon is as good as he is, because he had a fantastic teacher and he has taken it to heart.
Well, and we've seen that group. There have been in the first 4 holes on that group, 4 times 4 carry. I believe we've seen 13 pars. So that's been a group full of pars. Tristan only having a little bit of trouble there. He sits at +3, and Landon opened with a double bogey. But it seems like par is the name of the game on that second card.
Yes, and Ricky would love for par to be the name of the game right now.
Yes, he would.
Especially when somebody is 4 down. It's not very often that Ricky loses 6 strokes in 4 holes to somebody, and that's what he's done to Eagle. So he's going to have to figure out what he wants to do with his finger here, and he's going to have to make his mind up and just go for it. He can't keep worrying about his finger the whole time, because Eagle is just going to keep getting birdies apparently, and if Ricky starts putting a lot of pressure on himself, it's going to get a lot worse.
Well, and one has to ask, as we're about to see Eagle tee off, is this injury bad enough where Ricky might have to withdraw?
I haven't seen it in person, but as much attention as he has given it, I have to think that it's really causing him some problems. And that was a fine drive by Eagle. He's in the middle of the fairway, but he did not get the full flight that he was looking for. I was expecting to be able to read off the preamble to the Constitution or something for the amount of time that Eagle's disc was going to be in the air. So let's see if Oakley can get a little more full flight here. No, kind of the same thing. He turned it over a little bit and it did not want to come out. Again, he's sitting fine for his par. He's going to have to blast one. Both of them are going to have to blast one if they want to get the
Cut out it. Most stable disc drop. Really? Wasn't like that one.
Is now. Talented and skilled junior disc golfers are getting ready to join us for the first ever United States Junior Disc Golf Championships hosted at Smuggler's Notch Resort in Jeffersonville, Vermont. Smugs boast world-class amenities and an experience like no other. Join other junior disc golfers and their families August 3rd through 5th and make this a family vacation you'll never forget.
Make sure you're over here. Need you to get all of that shit.
All right, folks, thanks for holding with us there. We got kicked off the internet, but we're back. We paid our bills. We're back.
I would say if you're in the public library and you're getting kicked off the internet, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, as I think we saw in Arizona. But nonetheless, we're back with the action. In fact, we're going to get ourselves caught up as we didn't see after a few of those tee shots. Looks like
Oh boy. Well, not much is changing for Rick since that was a good drive he had, but man, he is off in the jungle on the left. I gotta wonder if at some point Ricky is just going to call it quits here. Eagle sitting center cut fairway. I bet he's gonna rip this and try to get up and down for the birdie. Yeah, he has gone over the green. That's fine. And you can see this was 2 eagle-sized shots, and he's still got probably 80 feet to go. And that's only a layup from where he's at. The backside of that basket from the angle he's looking at, if you go 2 feet past the basket, you've got at least a 30-foot putt. It goes down immediately and then into some wood. So he cannot run that if he unless he just wants to risk bringing bogey into play in order to get the birdie.
And we're seeing this gorgeous fairway as everyone is walking down the hillside here on hole number 5. Looks like the pace of play, of course, they were caught up just a few moments ago here on the tee, but otherwise the pace of play has been going great for them. Interesting, again, to see them. They even got started a few minutes earlier than we were anticipating. This is Chris Kesselhoff neighborhood, I believe, or territory here in California. I know he had a little bit of a challenge working that time zone issue a few months ago at the Next Gen finale. But I think we're all on pace, ready to go. We're going to be back with you each of the next 2 days as we bring you the action on Saturday and Sunday here for the San Francisco Open. Hoping that you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend. Right here with Smashbox TV. Patrick Brown looks like he's going to use a mini.
Yeah, this is Patrick playing Masters golf through his second shot, so he lands in the shade with a good angle at the basket. If he can get some ground action, this will be really nice. Maybe. I mean, he's definitely putting. He's on the dance floor. We'll have to see if he stayed short of that bush or if he skipped down into the lowlands over there on the backside of the basket. This little stretch of course right here, 4, 5, 6, 7, are all gettable holes and also bogeyable holes, every one of them. Because the drives necessary on each of these holes to put yourself in the good spot is very demanding. It wouldn't shock me if any of these guys birdied or if any of these guys bogeyed. I think it's going to be really special if anybody gets off the course today bogey-free.
Now, isn't it true also that I believe we're at one of the furthest points out in the course in terms of distance from the clubhouse? Is that where we are at this point?
Yeah, this is that was a fantastic shot out of the woods there from Rick. Man, see, this is the thing about Ricky. Like, that's an awful spot, and I'll just put it under the basket. Man, hopefully he can do some more of that. Yes, but back to your question, Terry. This is the furthest point of the course. For as long as this course is, you really hardly ever get too far away from the clubhouse. It is very tightly packed, although not dangerously packed as far as you're not crossing over or throwing over other fairways. But it goes right back and forth, kind of on top of each other, and keeps you pretty close to the initial downslope that you come off of.
I was also told yesterday that this ranks, as we see Eric Oakley go deep of the pin, that this is a 9-hole golf course, of course, that we're on. However, it ranks as one of the top 10 or top 15 in the country for 9-hole golf courses. So very interesting to hear that.
It's a beautiful piece of land, that's for sure.
Hats off to Sean Jack and the rest of the crew here in San Francisco. A major undertaking to come up with a brand new event to then put onto the Disc Golf Pro Tour as we watch Eagle McMahon lay it up right next to the pin. This great round started. There's no sense in any unnecessary risk here.
Yeah, take your 4 and move on. Like I said, this is 1,033 feet. A 4 is not a bad score here at all.
And Wysocki, looks like that is not, sorry, that is Oakley, who's gone even deeper than I thought he did.
Yeah, this is the problem when you go for that basket. He's probably just outside of circle one, maybe 40 to 50 feet, but it just drops off so fast.
This is also home to the Golden State Warriors practice area, as you see them in the back getting warmed up. I believe they have another game coming up soon, and not the layup that Eric Oakley would have liked from there, just getting caught up by those trees.
Yeah, Oakley's having as many problems with the layups as the Warriors are having lately. Yeah, this is playing as the second most difficult hole, 4.61. Very, very few chances of scoring on this hole. So there is Eric taking his bogey 5 on this hole, which is kind of disappointing because of where his second shot was sitting. Very manageable for him. Now Patrick trying to manage that up and down for his par.
Right side chain finds the bottom of the basket. Patrick Brown at 1 under. Patrick, of course, being a Masters eligible competitor here this weekend and playing in the only MPO offered division. Tap in by Eagle McMahon. Let's look at a hole preview from Central Coast and Corey Morrill.
Hole 6 is one of the hardest holes out here on the course, as players must find their way through the 350-foot tunnel before having to throw the 300-foot approach over the ball golf green and sand trap. Now, it is a bit overgrown now, but I assure you the play is what will be nasty come event time. Birdie 3s are at a premium here, and we expect to see a lot of 4s, not to mention the 5s, 6s, and 7s that are likely to follow if you find any trouble off the tee.
Again, thank you, Corey, for the whole preview. Also, Upper Park. And it looks like we've caught back up with our second to last card of the day. Landon again, I believe.
Mm-hmm. This is a really difficult hole. You have to get to either get out of this tunnel on the left, on the backhand hyzer shot, or you've got to throw some sort of forehand to get out to the fairway, and Landon is stuck right in the middle. He's probably 350 to 400 feet away from the basket at this point with a really bad angle, and OB just asking to be interfering with his shot. Landon goes with a good layup here. That's going to put him in a spot where he can get up and down and get his par. Really nice save by Landon there, or really nice opportunity for the save.
So you would say that was a good landing zone?
It was a good Landon.
All right, that might be the only one you get out of me today, folks.
And it's not even night.
And speaking of night, honestly, one thing that has to be considered is this is the furthest west we've ever had the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And getting everyone coordinated in terms of seeing consistent coverage throughout the country coming at you guys. We just want to thank all the staff and the crew, along with our cameramen and everyone here locally, to get us to where we're at, along with our local libraries providing such great services to us this week.
Yeah, it feels weird that we're sitting here mid-afternoon watching disc golf, and there's some people that have already eaten dinner on the East Coast. As you can see, this entire card had a difficult time getting out of this tunnel. This is a wowzer of a hole. This was the hole that was playing the most difficult for our FPO crowd. Earlier, I was talking to Madison and Lisa about it, that only 10% of the field was even getting a par. It's playing fourth most difficult for MPO today, averaging 4.37, so a full third of a stroke over par. That means that when this hole, for any group that goes through, you would expect 3 pars and a bogey on this difficult layout. Yeah, if you don't have a good drive, and that actually might even be OB, if you don't have a really excellent drive on this hole, there's no way you can go for the basket. Your drive will let you know whether or not a birdie is possible on this par 4.
Well, and as we're coming back, we'd like to welcome you again. Please go out and like and share the link. Let everyone know you're watching live disc golf from the 2018 San Francisco Open, presented by Innova Champion Disc. Also, check out udisclive.com. They have all the stats and details. We'd like to think we're really smart and do all sorts of research, when really we just get to look at the same screen that's available to you, even on a mobile device or browser. So please go out and do so. And as I do look at the leaderboard, we're seeing, of course, Simon Lizotte. We talked about him earlier, being the clubhouse leader. Also, Paul McBeth is on a tear as he approached this next portion of the course. We see him through 14 holes. He's sitting at 6 under par through 14, but he's birdied the last 6 holes.
Is that good?
I guess that it is. He's taken a par on hole number 14, so he just has 4 holes left to play, and we'll see where he finishes out. But in the meantime, we're back with our featured card in Eagle McMahon, 4 down through 5 holes.
I was curious what Eagle and Eric were going to do on this hole. I actually ran into them during a practice round, and they had both tried the forehand shot on this one to try to bust through those trees and to get out into the fairway for a much more open shot. Eagle went with the backhand, and I think he's going to be sitting okay to have a long look at the birdie. Yes, there you go. That's the shot right there. That's the shot. You have to get really aggressive with a fast disc if you want to birdie this hole off the tee box. And if you get really aggressive with a fast disc on this hole, you bring a giant number into play if you don't hit it right.
And Ricky is not immediately looking at his finger. And it looks like that one might have had a clean release, or maybe one that was pain-free, or a combination of the two.
So that's 4 good to excellent drives. Nobody hit anything right off the bat. They're sitting pretty.
Let's listen to a word from our sponsor on hole number 6. Dixon, it sounds like the internets have officially challenged us to a showdown out on the course.
Me versus you?
Yeah, I don't think that sounds like a good idea for me.
What's the bet?
I'm not sure, but I know that I certainly would not be able to keep up with you and your skills. You've been traveling around. Have you been playing much this year yourself?
No, not playing a lot. I played GBO because that's in my hometown, but outside of that, I hadn't really gotten out of Kansas too much.
Well, we've got Eric Oakley outstretched to his right, very comfortable with a forehand approach here.
Yeah, this is just a layup. He didn't put enough on that. He's staying short of those flags, and he's going to try about that same distance of a shot to get up and down for his par.
Everyone has to be impressed with the course design. And by that, I mean, when you come out to a course like this or a piece of property like this, immediately people think, long, boring ball golf course. And so much credit goes out to anyone involved, everyone involved with the course design and the development and the tweaks that are probably continuing to happen out on this property, because you see they're making use of all the trees that line the fairways or go between the fairways. Looks like a really excellent and well thought out design.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to think first coming out here. I knew it would be a hilly terrain, and I knew it was a ball golf course, and that's all I had. and this far exceeded my expectations. This is a wonderful track on a ball golf course. Sometimes they can be open and kind of monotonous, not this one at all.
Patrick Brown has a little bit of the long grass just off the fairway here. Doesn't seem to impede his run up, and it looks like he got a good skip there.
Yeah, I think that was just the safe upshot there. It's not something with the angle that he had, he would have had to have gotten very aggressive. My guess is he's sitting probably 50 or 60 left of the basket in the safe spot. He went over the bunker, over the green, and he's taking those OBs out of question. There is OB short right of the basket if somebody were to turn something over or to let it go too flat. So Patrick going with a high-speed stable disc to solve that problem. Yeah, Eagle going with the same idea, but he was able to put a little more forward momentum on his. You can see, I believe that was Patrick sitting at circle's edge, and Eagle 3 or 4 steps in front of him. So great shots by both of those guys. Okay, and we're about to find out if the finger injury is a big deal or not. It needs to get down. There you go. Well done, Ricky. Well done.
And a great approach shot there by Ricky Wysocki. We talked about the difficulty of hole number 6 here. These guys are making it look relatively easy right now. Some very solid execution.
It's not this easy. I promise you it's not this easy. The drive on this hole is the most difficult shot. Because it's not as wide as it seems, you have to control your angle well, you have to control your speed well, just to get you in a spot where you've inherited a really difficult upshot. And so they've done a fantastic job. They got 3 looks at a birdie, and Oakley here with what should be a pretty routine up and down for someone of his approaching caliber. And there you go. So that's the 4, and there's a chance at 3 birdies. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the rest of the scores on this hole. If they go 3 down on this hole, I will take that against anybody else. There is no card that will have beat them.
Again, a gorgeous Friday afternoon. We are here in San Francisco, enjoying our 4th stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour here in 2018. Excited that you can join us. You'll be able to join us for the next 2 days, as I said, both Saturday and Sunday, as we're bringing you the latter half of the tournament. Looks like we're also going to be blessed with very mild weather throughout. Patrick Brown trying to get confirmation as to if he's going to be out and up to putt next. It looks like he's just a step or 2 inside Circle 1. And of course, if you're unfamiliar with Circle 1 is a 10-meter circle. Anything outside of that is from 10 to 20 meters is considered Circle 2.
Solid putt by Patrick. He does like that step-through putt outside of Circle 1. That's probably his least favorite putt right there, where it's as long as it can be without the ability to step through. But he gets that up and down. Fantastic birdie 3 by Patrick.
And Wysocki will be able to erase one of the bogey strokes he's accumulated here in the first few holes.
That is Ricky's first birdie on the round. Let's see if it can kind of get him out of the funk he's been in for the first 5 holes.
And speaking of getting funky,
I don't think that's what I meant.
No,
right
okay.
there. Okay.
Well, either way, Eagle McMahon puts himself to 5 under through 6 holes with a very impressive start. We've seen a great season thus far out of Eagle McMahon, and he's looking for it to continue. Let's listen to a whole preview by Corey in Central Coast.
Clocking in at 475 feet, this par 3 hole 7 is a prime candidate for a big power roller. If you are thinking about opting for that power roller off the tee, remember this hole does traditionally play into a headwind and there is an OB rope lining the entire right side of the fairway. But also offers a unique putt for any of our competitors turning over their rollers just a bit too much.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Utah Open, presented by Prodigy Discs, proudly present the top approach shots from the 2017 Utah Open.
AB. Wow, Corey, he bit off so much on that drive.
Just so impressive. I can't imagine a better way of playing it with those two shots. That's just...
Rick's keeping this one out wide, and that's just textbook. I mean, he did that every round, just happens.
Made it look really easy, a lot easier than it actually is. The wind angle makes it very uncomfortable to throw that flex shot, and then Dana really takes you on this basket. No, you can't throw that any better.
Exactly, and that really is the preferred landing zone. It just goes to show you how treacherous this green is when you hit right where you want to. Like Jeff did there. Nice shot, buddy.
Yeah, so you want to forehand up here.
Oh, come on. Yeah.
The Utah Open will be held Friday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 24th. We go live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern. Tune in and watch.
You know, the way I sort of think about it, like you get in the lead and there's a part of you that wants to be like, oh shoot, I'm in the lead, this makes me nervous. But I usually just sort of think like, do I envy anyone else in the field? You know, like, sure, it's pressure to be in the lead, but would I rather be in 10th? No, I mean, whatever, you know, so you don't really have a choice. So at that point, then I can kind of just sort of breathe and relax about it, because I'm happy that I played well enough to get to where I am. Just because you're in the lead doesn't guarantee you anything. You just want to go out and stick to your guns and just see if you can come out on top.
The only time that I adjust my play based on scores is like probably, I would say, 6 holes to go in a final round. I don't think about it starting off on tee ever, because so much can happen, especially with disc golf. We have so much OB out of bounds, and you could have a 3-stroke swing at any given moment, even on a hole that's you think is a birdie hole. I mean, the way discs come into the baskets and roll, it's just, you literally cannot give up until the last putt's in. And so I feel like even if I have a 2-stroke lead, I still am playing conservative, but you know, aggressive when I feel that I can.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Utah Open, presented by Prodigy Discs, proudly present the Top 10 Drives, Part 2.
Really? Wow. Dustin King is throwing a rock here.
Yeah, it's really that type of shot. Just your straight mid-range for these type of guys.
Wow.
If you're feeling bad water the entire
Forward.
excuse me.
Dana looks like he's going for it, Corey.
Oh, he's going for it, yeah.
What? Dana! You baller!
That's right, and it doesn't really hurt you. You can actually ride that driving range fence all the way to the basket. So playing to the wide right is a lot better than testing right.
Just
right at the basket.
Yeah, and it didn't look like that disc really even took a turn at all. That was straight power, like you said. And this looks
Talk about power. He's flying over the. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness. Created here. Island hole. Ricky's up by 2, but anything can happen. It looks like he got that pretty wide. Oh my god. Oh, no way.
What a way to finish.
Oh, for the win.
The Utah Open will be held Friday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 24th. We go live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern.
And thank you to Steve Dodge and the Disc Golf Pro Tour, of course. Excited for our next stop at Utah. But first, we've got 2.5 rounds to go here in San Francisco. Of course, we're just getting things going. And it looks like we've caught up with the second to last card again here on hole number 7.
There's a good reason why there's generally going to be a backup on this hole. This is playing as the most difficult hole on the course. 3.68 as a stroke average on this hole. Even after I played it the first time, in my head, I thought this is a sucker hole. When you stand on the box, you think, okay, well, I'll just throw a big turnover. But it does not work out that way. If I had to play it again, I would throw out to the field and just try to get up and down. Looking at UDisc, I'm going to have to call this into question. I don't know how this is possible. I believe that there's 0% birdies. I believe that part. I believe that there's 57% over par. I believe that. It says that there's 1% fairways hit. I don't understand how that's possible. There's 115 people that have come through. That means barely over one person has put it in the fairway. So I got to imagine something's going wrong there. It says 1% fairway, 0% parked, 1% in circle 1 and 1% in circle 2. It's difficult, but I mean, that's like Wile E. Coyote strapped to a piece of dynamite difficult right there. But anyway, you slice the cake. This is a very, very tough deuce. And if I was any of these guys caddy on the box, I would say throw your forehand and be safe and get out in the middle and take your up and down from 100 feet and just get out of dodge, because this hole is only wanting to take strokes off of people.
It looks like our group is ready to get back up to their feet, and they'll be teeing off in just a few moments here. Patrick Brown and Ricky Wysocki coming back from out in the middle of the fairway. Well, if there is really a fairway.
Apparently there's not a fairway. It is a single thread going down the middle of the fairway. That tree that you saw in the middle of the screen there, kind of hanging out, that's the one you have to get left of. All of these trees, there is an OB line running down the right side of all of these trees. So you cannot get aggressive on this hole turning anything over, or you are begging for a circle on your scorecard.
Now, is Eagle lining up a backhand roller? I don't know if this is the right play.
If he's playing it as a safe roller, I can see it. If he's trying to be aggressive with it, oh boy, this is aggressive. Oh man, he's 4 down through 7, or no, what is he? 5 down through 7. He's doing great. Let's see if this works.
Oh.
Okay, that works. He is inside circle 1. However, he is going to have to putt around a tree that's approximately the size of a brontosaurus leg. That's going to be a tough putt. Fantastic drive with a poor result as far as how lucky how unlucky he got hitting that tree and staying behind it.
Stop doing that.
And not to be confused, those paddles are green on one side and red on another. So earlier when I was putting some footage together, I was thinking it was an OB stroke, but it was because I was behind the spotter. So Patrick gets the green.
Oh, okay. So Ricky is he's on the short grass, but that's not the fairway apparently.
Well, and to be clear, the fairway says on a par 3, the player's first throw has to land in circle 2 or closer to count as a fairway hit.
Oh, okay. Well, then Eagle just upped the percentage to 2% because he is definitely in circle 2. That's generally the sort of drive that you're going to get. And there's Eric, there's the circle 2 flag, 15 feet in front of where he landed. And he probably has no putt with the angle that he's got. That same giant tree is in the way.
Let's listen to a word from our sponsor on hole 7.
So not that it really needed to be said, but apparently Eagle is better at disc golf than I am.
That's what I've heard. And Eagle McMahon, now to be fair, if he does not hit that tree with his roller, does it have enough carry to find OB?
No, because it looked like it was turning over. I mean, it looked like if that tree didn't been there, he would have still been within the circle. It's not that his distance was wrong. It's that he's just got a giant tree in the way. And here Patrick is going to have to try to break through this wall of trees. I found myself, it's not OB short of those trees. I find myself on that backside, and you have to get lucky to be lined up perfectly to one of those gaps. Or otherwise, you could be 20 feet away and not be able to see the basket. Well, I saw the cloud of dust. I'm not sure what that leaves him. I mean, as far as distance goes, it's perfectly manageable. As far as giant trees go, who knows?
And Wysocki stepping up relatively quickly, ready to go. He's going to approach with his forehand. I believe that's his harp. Yep. It's a mid-range that he approaches with, very overstable.
And I think I saw Patrick's disc there just left of the basket. If that's his spot, then he's got 15 feet wide open for the par. Oh, and Eric caught the eagle tree. It looked like he was just trying to lay up from there. If he's just only trying to lay up, that's a pretty bad mistake on Eric's part. You play to the fat places if you're laying up. You don't try to get too tricky. So if you see right through that tiny gap in the trees, that's where Eagle is. He's a skinny fella, but I don't think he's skinny enough to fit through there. Yeah, he's within the circle and completely stymied. Let's see how stretchy he can get. Go gadget legs. Oh, he found the gap. Hitting that first gap is what I thought was going to be the most difficult part. He hit it and then caught front cage. Great putt by Eagle just to get to the metal. And Oakley able to clean that up. That would have been a very disappointing bogey, so I'm glad he was able to hit that. Those are the kind that stick with you for quite a while. And so there we go. It is still only 0% birdies. Eagle had the chance to be the first.
Patrick Brown watches as it drops in, and Eagle does as well. We'll move on. We'll look at a whole preview on hole number 8 and a word from our sponsors.
Tight off the tee and wide open everywhere else, this 642-foot par 4 hole 8 is designed for players to make decisions. Featuring an OB river in the center of the fairway, the ideal play is to lay up just short of that bunker onto the right of your screen, forcing the 345-foot upshot into the pinched green with OB left of the basket and right on that cart path.
Let's forget about the car for a moment. Your local Next Gen qualifiers, are all fun entry-level PDGA-sanctioned C tiers. There are 3 ratings-based divisions, creating a competitive environment for beginners all the way up to amateurs aspiring to become professionals. Don't forget to sign up for the
Sign up quicker than Eagle throws his tee shot here if we were talking about the Next Gen Tour and all of the great events taking place around the country.
So this is the infamous boomerang or horseshoe hole. There is a horseshoe or boomerang shaped, section of OB right there in the middle. You're looking at the bottom of the boomerang, that wall. And Patrick looks like he has thrown over the wall. And that would be OB if he cleared that wall. What these guys are trying to do is to lay up short of that wall. Yep, Patrick has gone OB. And then blast. Or they're trying to go over the boomerang, which is going to take a smash job to do. And being that Eagle laid up, that makes me think that he thinks it's not working. Ricky is going for it here, I believe. No, laying up to the middle of the mouth. That's going to leave him about 300 feet straight uphill to the basket. And Eric laying up to the wall as well. I'm thinking the course designer was hoping that more people would go for it, but with the upslope and with the wind that can just kind of be uncertain, it just almost makes it not worth the danger to try to carry all 450 feet of the OB.
Let's listen to a word from our sponsors as we move through hole 8. And rejoining us from the pearly gates, we've got Angel Dixon here.
Yes.
As this
is my child.
This San Francisco sun is drifting behind us. We're glad that you guys can join us. We're here for the opening round of the 2018 San Francisco Open, presented by Innova Champion Disc. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Dixon Jowers. And
not the disc golf guy.
Not the disc golf guy. And here on hole number 8, looks like there's going to be a clarification as to exactly what plays as inbounds or out of bounds. Is that maybe what's going on?
I mean, it's pretty clearly stated in the rule book that if you go that there's a drop zone here. I'm going to assume it's a mandatory drop zone. I can't imagine why Patrick would want to take it anywhere else. My guess is that maybe the second card is still on the basket, and that's why they're holding up. But Patrick wouldn't be out anyway. Now, if you're following along with the rule book online, the caddy book online, it says that this is only about maybe a 325-foot shot, but it is a rip, and there is lots of OB by the basket, and you have to clear a green that is just short of the basket, downslope from it. So even though it's 325, these guys, I bet, are going to be throwing high-speed discs. Except for Eric, he throws a felon for everything, which is a fairway driver. And that's useful. That's kind of what you want to do.
Now, one thing we can say is when we've seen sometimes the elevated pins here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, when those canisters, so to speak, get hit, we quite often see some kind of really nasty ricochet or possibly a disc to get on edge and roll away. And that one stopped pretty much right there for Eric
that was
Oakley.
Perfect. I saw Katrina Allen on a putt hit that canister and roll all the way back to the green on this hole this morning. So yes, it absolutely happens, and it's something to think about as you're approaching, to not actually try to hit that thing.
And we can all but anticipate, I know we're in the middle of hole 8 now, but hole 9, which is one of the most gorgeous holes we'll find here at this layout, likely has a few groups on it. So these guys can be sure to pace themselves knowing there's going to be a 2 or 3 group backup on the following hole.
Yeah, it's so difficult to wait when you don't have to wait. And there's a great shot by Ricky. Because if Ricky's standing over his shot and somebody says, well, hey, we're going to have to wait on the next hole, when it's your shot, you just feel like, okay, I have to get this out of the way. Let me go ahead and do this and wait with nothing on my mind. So I bet they're just going to clean up and then head to the parking lot, maybe go to the bathroom, maybe get a drink at the clubhouse, and just take their wait at the top of the hill in the shade instead of out here in the middle. So this is the 275-foot drop zone here that Patrick is dealing with.
And what would you say this 275 feet really plays like?
3 1/4 at least, going uphill, because you don't want to land on that upslope like Patrick has landed right there. He's inside circle 1, but he is downslope from an elevated basket. He's going to have to aim this disc probably 2 or 3 times as high as he normally would. And you're going to have to deal with what happens if you don't hit that putt. If you catch some metal, then you're landing on a downslope going right back towards OB. So it's going to be a putt that he's really going to have to bear in on. And if he misses, you want to miss long on this putt, and definitely not short.
We'll watch our competitors. They're going to be coming up the fairway here. Generally, when you're out on a golf course and we're coexisting in terms of disc golf and traditional ball golf, walking around the green, if you're not out there playing or competing in a golf setting, should I say a ball golf setting, you're going to want to walk around the greens and do everything you can to not disrupt what's already going on out there.
So here's Eagle trying to get up and down for his birdie 3 to have this fantastic start to the front 9 or to the front 8.
Oh, and
sit down. Okay.
From about 38 feet, he was just outside the circle. And you wouldn't think if you were going to miss anywhere there, you wouldn't assume that he would miss high on that, as he was throwing a little bit uphill and he was throwing to an elevated basket. So I think what's to take note there is that Eagle very aggressive, Eagle not being shy or tentative whatsoever with his release.
Oh, great save there from Patrick for his 4. That is not an easy putt, boys and girls. Next time you're around an elevated basket, go practice that circle's edge putt. And see that it's not as easy as just flipping one up there the way that Patrick made it look. And Rick in for his birdie, and Oakley going to step up for his dunk shot tap in birdie on hole number 8. So 2 4s and 2 3s will take us off of the 8th hole.
Let's take a look at the beautiful hole number 9.
There's a green that is just short of the basket, downslope from it. So even though it's 325, these guys, I bet, are going to be throwing high-speed discs. Except for Eric. He throws a felon for everything, which is a fairway driver. And that's useful.
Wow.
Hole 9 offers the widest fairway we have to offer here at Glen Eagles. Appropriately deemed 747, this hole offers a runway for our players to take flight and give our gallery a show. This par 4 747-foot hole 9 is eagleable under the right conditions. But remember, we're in Northern California now, so the 2-meter rule is in effect, and these cypresses down by the pin are hungry.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Utah Open, presented by Prodigy Discs, proudly present the Top 10 Drives, Part 1.
Right, but there is water right there. Anthony, 524. This is, you know it's in his range.
Yeah, ripping out. That looks to be a destroyer. Hard to tell in his hand, but goodness gracious.
Easy. He's just down there.
Huh, so that's how you're supposed to play it, Jeff.
That was a high hyzer.
Yeah.
Out of his hand, I wasn't actually sure. With
It's literally over the mountains. He threw it over the mountains.
How did he do that?
I don't know.
That was a good 1,000-foot throw.
He's in 100% range.
Green. Really, you can throw it sidearm or backhand. You can see a lot of these guys throwing backhand. It's really a distance control shot, though. You want to do pretty much exactly what Anthony did. Yeah, exactly.
I got as lucky as you can get.
Yeah, thank Disc Stalker again for that one.
And this is just, I mean, look at this. Look at this shot.
True.
Good God. That is just perfection.
Go V strokes.
9 to 9.
Let's see what I can do here.
Oh, way out wide, Jeff. I was not expecting this.
Yeah, I just want to get around that tree.
Yeah, good play. Ooh, almost off the rake, which was...
The Utah Open will be held Friday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 24th. We go live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern. Tune in and watch. The Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Utah Open, presented by Prodigy Discs, proudly present the top 10 putts from the Utah Open.
Just under 50 feet probably onto an impossible basket, of course.
I thought I was closer.
Yeah,
it'll play. I thought. That's in from the sand.
Oh, with the snow-capped mountains in the
so
back.
good.
Just pure. Ooh, look at you.
That was beautiful. They just.
Oh,
wow. The truest definition of a death putt.
Bobby pretty much throw it straight through the gate.
Oh, huge jumper.
And
Oh, look at this. If he gets a follow flight and a slow mez in the same hole, that never happens.
do action right there.
Yeah, it should be.
Ooh.
Data feeling it early, throwing it into the snow-capped mountains.
Oh, good putt. Oh, and the slow mez.
Oh, I love getting the slow mez.
Oh, you deserve it on that one. And I don't think he's going to be laying this up.
No, I don't think so either. Oh my goodness, and there you go.
Oh, look at the slow mez.
Oh my goodness, the point at the camera.
He said, did you get that?
Oh, that is sweet.
And with the slow mez, they say,
The Utah Open will be held Friday, June 22nd through Sunday, June 24th. We go live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern. Tune in and watch.
Welcome back, everyone. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Dixon Jowers, taking in the action here for the San Francisco Open, the opening round. And we see quite a few scores that have been finalized as they're in the clubhouse. and Simon Lizotte still sits on top with that 8 under par.
Mm-hmm. I need a cool nickname, by the way. You can't just say, I'm the cool disc golf guy, and here's, Bill. Like, I'm like Peter from Deadpool 2.
Whenever you want any good advice, we've learned, you just go to the internet. So if the internets could just...
I don't want to ask the internet for a nickname. that would be awful.
It's kind of like when you go out to ask somebody that, you've seen some of those things on Reddit when they say, somebody asked for something photoshopped, and then there's 10,000 submissions. Usually they're not in the best light.
Or it's like asking a 5-year-old, do you think I'm gaining some weight? Oh, geez, you're fat. Thanks, buddy.
Well, we are here, and we're just at a backup, and we're seeing a couple of groups teeing off on hole number 9. So we're going to cut in and out of the action whenever it seems most appropriate here. We're watching some of the groups move down the fairway actually at this point. So while we do that, Dixon, you and I can talk a little bit about the scores that we saw. How did they get there, I think would be a question you would normally ask. Simon Lizotte just 1 bogey during his round. He did that on hole number 7, which we talked about being the most challenging hole out there. Paul McBeth, on the other hand, he shoots a 55. He just recently came into the clubhouse. He shoots the 55, but had 3 bogeys. And by looking at the sea of blue that's on his scorecard, you see the back 9 is definitely where things can heat up, where you can pick up a lot of those strokes. Him and Simon at one point had 13, I believe, or 11 out of 12 of the same birdies on holes 8 through 13.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of shocking to me about Paul's round is that he was sitting at 6 under after the 13th hole with a bunch of birdieable holes to go. You really thought he's going to come into the clubhouse and tear it up. But he ended at only 1 under par for those final 5 holes. And whereas Simon, his only OB stroke was on one of those final few holes, and then he tossed it in from 75 feet just to go ahead and take his par. But you can see there, Paul, really low circle 1 in reg scores for him, only 44%. Those 2 numbers, circle 1 in reg and circle 2 in reg, are the ones that are going to tell you whether or not somebody's having a great round. And Paul being 44%, it's pretty amazing that he was able to shoot as well as he did, given that relatively low score for himself.
Well, and clearly picking it up or getting things going when he was inside circle 1, he was 100%, making all of his opportunities from that circle 1 indicator. So, and Simon's certainly not a bad day at 89%. That probably means he just missed 1, if I had to guess, inside the circle at most. But very interesting to see the 2 of them. Nate Doss, who also comes in with just a single bogey. He did so on hole number 16, which is a par 3. So there must be something that was unique about that. It's just 285 feet, I believe. Is that the downhill,
island hole?
The island hole. So presumably missing the island and then going to the drop zone.
I feel good about, because I had said Nate was one of my picks as somebody that you might not think would do good out here, because you think Nate, you think controlled, you think buzzes, you think forces, but you don't think super distance. And now, I mean, I'm not really going out on a limb here saying that it was some great pick of mine to take a 4-time world champion. But generally speaking,
from NorCal.
Yes, from NorCal. But generally speaking, this Nate wouldn't be a super popular pick. But the way that this course sets up, being able to control your angles and being able to control your distance really well, that is Nate Doss's game to a T. And so I'm not shocked at all that the quote-unquote elder statesman of this field is up there hanging with the best in the world.
As I continue to roll down the list here on UDisc, one thing that jumps out at me, we talked about players trying to remain or be bogey-free. And of course, we've seen Eagle McMahon off to this great start, Patrick Brown off to a great start. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't believe I can see any other competitor that has remained bogey-free that is in the clubhouse, that has completed the round without a single bogey. The next closest to that feat, who is not on our card, I believe I saw Colton Montgomery, who is through 12 holes and has not carded a bogey. In fact, he just cards another birdie as we're watching hole number 13 come in on the scorecard for him. So Colton Montgomery, also one of the few remaining players that could possibly go bogey-free out here on this course today.
I hope this isn't like talking about a no-hitter or somebody that's never missed a field goal from 33 yards or something like that. If Colton bogeys, it's completely on you.
100% on me. It certainly should be.
My wife doesn't buy into this theory, but every time she says something, it proves it wrong when she happens to walk through the living room and I'm watching a game. And I tell her that it's real in sports. When you talk about something like that, it inevitably messes up. So Colton, I want to apologize on behalf of Terry for whatever bogey is going to happen in your future.
And we're watching the tee shots here on hole number 9. A moment ago, we listened and heard from Corey Merle of Central Coast talking about what the plan is on hole number 9, how these players can go about it. I also see the tournament director, Sean Jack, out there. I'm not sure. Oh, well, looks like he's is he
telling everybody to, you better sit down and not complain, or I'm going to smack you with this quiet paddle.
A moment ago, Seth from Disc Golf Strong also walking through.
I see Nick Wood sitting there with the players. I'm surprised he's not taking a picture right now.
I was just going to say, I didn't know Nick. I thought he permanently had a selfie camera attached to his hand at all times.
I was talking with him earlier, and he did not take a picture of me and him. Should I take that personally?
Awkward, because he took one of me and him earlier today,
okay,
so a little bit awkward there. But seriously, everyone enjoying themselves up in the vendor area. People can get something to eat. You also see back there the Disc Golf Pro Tours Festival of Flying Discs. So make sure you come out and participate. And just what a beautiful view perched up here on the hillside at this Glen Eagles disc golf course.
Yeah, this is a great spot. As you're driving in, it's kind of in an area of the city where you think, maybe I don't want to park my car here, but then you pull in and it is just this beautiful course. Green grass, rolling hills, lots of great views to see. I mean, even off of this hole, you can see part of San Francisco Bay off there to the east. So, I mean, this is you're kind of surprised when you turn the corner and pull in here. I had the opportunity to go watch the Masters ball golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia several years ago, and it was the same sort of feeling. As you're driving down the street, you think, there is no way that the most beautiful golf course in the world is in this neighborhood. And then all of a sudden, there's the big magnolia, there's the azaleas, there's the road driving into the clubhouse. It all just kind of pops up out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying Glen Eagles is quite to that level, but it was a very nice surprise given the neighborhood that this course is in.
Now we're seeing Eagle Overlook here on hole number 9's tee. A moment ago, you also saw on your screen, again, Seth from Disc Golf Strong. He's been working extensively with a lot of our different top-level competitors, including Ricky Wysocki. A moment ago, we saw him walk up to Ricky. Maybe he had a quick conversation about what Ricky is seeing there in terms of the blister or the irritation that's on his finger. And I don't know if Seth maybe has some of that fake skin glue or whatever it might be, or possibly a bandage or something. We know Nate Doss famously wears some tape, a little bit of medical tape around one of his fingers or a few of his fingers when he plays. And Ricky is continuing to manipulate that finger there.
I ran into Seth this morning also, and I actually felt a little bit better about myself running into Seth. He came walking up this hill off of 8 to 9, and I was standing there on top, and he was breathing hard. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're the fit guy. If you're breathing hard, then I don't have to feel so bad about when I was breathing hard from coming up this hill. So apparently me and Seth are in the same shape, is I think.
Pretty much.
I mean, the same general shape, maybe not the same fitness level.
But the sense that you both walk upright, yes. I would say you guys are in similar shape.
Yeah, so hey, I mean, I'm fine with that. If that's what I can claim, then I'll do it.
And let me also let you know, Seth plays by the 80-20 rule. Him and I have had some weight loss conversations. He says, I eat well 80% of the time so that 20% of the time I don't have to. And so it talks about a really good balance, and I can really appreciate that.
I mean, I can appreciate the theory, but I just eat well 100% of the time. And by eating well, I mean eating good things all the time. Whatever is deemed as good. By myself, not by some nutritionist somewhere. Get out of here.
Landon, I believe, is going to be lining up his shot. He's definitely outstretched. Looks like he's going to go to his right and play a forehand. Saw the wind take that just a little bit.
So even though this hole is 774 feet, I believe, if I'm just pulling that number, sorry, 747. I had the numbers right, just not in the right order. Even though the hole is this far, you have to wait for guys to get over to the basket because it's so far downhill, approximately 70 feet downhill from tee to basket. And so I bet with this group we've got on the box, we're going to see some smashes. And hopefully they can get that full ride. At least this morning, it was a left to right tailwind, which would help that turnover shot. You see Eagle working on maybe a low hyzer flip release there. If he can get that to be executed correctly, I think that thing will fly a long, long way. Although on the right-hand side, once you get out of this initial gap, there is a tree over there that the locals talk about is super hungry. It is a big tree that has lots of branches, and all of them are excellent at catching a Frisbee.
Sean Jack, once realizing on camera, he knew he had to get the shades on. Paige Pierce, Eagle McMahon, and Eric Oakley all hanging out, having a quick conversation. Paige went off at the 9 a.m. card, or 9:15 card, I believe, this morning. Also featured in our earlier attempt at giving you the shot-by-shot coverage. We ran out of a little bit of time, so stay tuned and stick with us this week as we're taking a look at the women's scores right now. Sarah Holcomb, your leader after round one, sitting at 3 under par. Valerie Jenkins sits at 2 under par. Katrina Allen at 1 down. Pierce, Weiss, and Walker all sitting at even. I have to briefly mention Jessica Weiss. If you didn't know, go out and take a look at her scoring on UDisc. She was having just a tremendous round going, and unfortunately, it came crashing back to earth here on the final hole of the round. It sounded like hole 18 was just devastating for her. And look at that as she takes the 8, the quadruple bogey to finish up. And here's Ricky Wysocki. We're back with the action.
So Ricky is playing this left line. If you get out far enough left, he was going left and he hit a tree and is rolling back to the right. So he was aiming for the left line and hit it and somehow ended up on the right line. The basket is down there in the trees on the left side of the fairway. You can see that T sign blowing a little bit. You can see the trees blowing a little bit. It is definitely a factor coming down this hill. Eric going way left. Yeah, and he's going to have, I bet, a similar shot to what we just saw Landon having to deal with the tree right in front of him. Here's the rip I'm looking for. I'm going to see if Eagle is just going to play middle here, or if he's going to try to really crunch one. And crunch berries, I think. Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. 4? Holy cow.
What a crush by Eagle McMahon, coming right at our cameraman,
Oh
Chad.
my goodness.
And Eagle's going to be very happy with that effort. Patrick Brown somehow has to follow that up.
That's 600 at least. And here's Pat. Oh, I can only throw 450. Man, Eagle makes other people look like they're no good at disc golf, even when they're really good at disc golf.
Let's listen to a word from our sponsor here on 9.
Jiminy Christmas. And crunch berries, I think. Yes. Oh my goodness gracious. 4? Holy cow.
What a crush by Eagle McMahon, coming right at our cameraman, Chad. course, thank you to all of our supporting partners here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We have caught back up with our featured card during round number 1. This is hole number 9, 747 feet downhill. Patrick Brown first to throw his approach.
Yeah, Patrick's in a great spot. I mean, this is where you want to be. He's got a perfect tunnel right in front of him for an approach. I mean, this is exactly what he was setting up for. And poor Patrick. I mean, it made it look like he didn't throw the disc because of this wonder kid from Colorado just smashing the disc down the fairway. Oh, Ricky going with the backwards hat here. That's a new look for him.
Wow, Ricky is switching things up. He has the trusty forehand harp in his hands, and he's putting himself right next to the pin. That's going to be a drop-in birdie 3 here on 9. Is that like a Ricky rally cap of sorts, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, it's at the same angle that he normally wears the cap. It's just normally the bill's in the front going straight up off of his forehead. And there's Eric with his great-looking upshot. So you're going to have 3 birdie putts and Eagle with the Eagle putt, likely. I'm really curious to see which exact tree he was on. When I first looked at it, I thought he was going to be around circle 2, but then I thought, well, that's impossible. So let's see where he's at. Oh, yes, he is right at circle 2. This is a 747-foot hole, folks. So do your quick math. That's a 680-foot drive.
Yeah, but it was downhill.
So? Get in the hole. Come on. Wow. That would have been incredible. Not that a tap-in birdie on this hole is not, but that would have been an eagle. Well, it is an eagle. That would have been an eagle for the scorecard that we would have been talking about all year long.
Well, he has to make up for the par he had back there, or 1 or 2 pars he's looked at. But Patrick Brown is deep of the pin, and he's going to be coming back. It looks like Patrick is just about at circle's edge as well, maybe just a step or 2 inside of it at most, or outside of it. Yeah, and he was outside the circle, and he does not make the comebacker.
Oh,
wow.
No.
Wow, so the aggressive eagle run, as he certainly should have been going at, but not drawing any metal, puts him about 22, maybe 25 feet past the pin, and a missed opportunity, or 2 of them even, by Eagle McMahon here on hole number 9.
Yeah,
and to think we're talking about him missing out on a birdie. It's not like he bogeyed there.
Sure.
But still very shocking.
Yeah, this is playing as the easiest hole on the course, so you would expect everybody to get birdies on this one. However, well, actually, this hole is going to end up playing almost right to par for these guys, or right to average. You've got 2 3s and 2 4s here. But wow, what a missed opportunity there by Eagle. Nobody has deuced this hole today, so that was a missed opportunity there, and then a shocking miss on his comeback putt for the birdie 3.
Here we are, the start of the back 9 in the hole that all the locals are excited to see the pros throw. Coming in at nearly 1,200 feet of pure, straightforward distance, this par 5 is the definition of grip it and rip it. Cart path on the left does play out of bounds, as well as the tree line on the right, so it does put a premium on staying down the center of the fairway. Having said that, it does open up by the pin, but that is where the trees take over.
Well, there you go. If you were wondering if Ricky is still concerned about his finger, he is putting something on there. I'm going to guess it's just a Band-Aid or something.
It did not look like medical tape. That's a common solution as well, but it looked like an actual bandage. We'll have to, I think we have to check in with Band-Aid. I'm not sure we can mention them as a trademark non-supporting sponsor.
Yeah, that finger's been causing him problems all day today. So I guess foot faults last tournament and finger faults this tournament, right? So the one good thing that we can say that came out of Eagle's 3-putt there is that he is now riled up, and this is an 1,188-foot hole. So I bet we're going to see 2 absolute smashes by Eagle here. The play is just, I mean, we've got a super wide fairway here. Just get it in the middle, throw your second shot in the middle, and then deal with what's left. Let's see if these guys try to bite off quite a bit on the drive. Oh, I bet the Band-Aid's about to get ripped off. That is OB.
And Ricky.
There goes the Band-Aid. There goes the bandage. Band-Aid has pulled their sponsorship.
That was the shortest sponsorship in disc golf. Wysocki pulling that one. I can guarantee he's going to go out and look for a solution tonight so that he can continue his play. And Eric's turned that one over, and I don't know if it's the wind or just not enough stability, but I think he said, "What are you doing?" I'm not sure if he's talking to himself or the disc there. That was turned over right out of his hand.
Now, this might throw a little cool water on Eagle's anger after seeing those 2 shots. He may think, all right, let me just put it in the middle, 450 or 500 down there. There you go. Boom, crash.
And there's OB over there, yeah, but it looks...
Oh,
wow.
No way.
I thought that was going to stop just in time from the left side OB, and it doesn't.
I thought it did too. I hope that guy just had his paddle the wrong way. Wow.
And we'll see if we can get one drive inbounds and in the fairway, and Patrick Brown does just that. I'm going to listen to a word from our sponsors as we move down hole 10. Plenty of libraries, and there's no bigger fan of libraries than Steve Dodge.
Yes. Steve Dodge is the one that taught me that if you ever need internet, go find a library.
I concur. Steve, very resourceful in that way. So thank you to the community and everyone else, along with the San Francisco disc golf community that has opened their arms and embraced us for this Memorial Day weekend. Very exciting to be in such a big city with so much stuff going on for a great weekend. And we're here for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. This is the 4th stop in 2018. And next we move on to Utah, but there's a little bit of a break. We actually have almost a full 4 weeks before heading over to the Utah Open. What do you think some of our players might do in that time?
Well, being this part of the country, I mean, when you're in San Francisco, you got the Redwood Forest, less than a couple of hours north. You can head over to Tahoe. You can go to the coast. You can go down south and hang out in Santa Cruz or head down to SoCal. There's a lot of stuff going on, but Beaver State Fling is going on in a couple of weeks. So I think our guys will be heading north, but there is a lot to do around this part of the country.
Looks like Eric Oakley is setting up to throw his next shot. Ricky Wysocki retrieving both of their OB shots. And as you said a moment ago, yes, many players will be heading up to the Beaver State Fling. We'll see that taking place in just a couple of weeks, a very majestic and gorgeous venue to be at the Milo McIver State Park.
Eric looking like maybe a roller play here, the way he's lining up on his mini. Yeah, there it goes. Epa, epa, andale.
And that finishes for him, not bringing the OB into play at all as he finds center of the fairway.
Yeah, he's going to have, that's still a pretty long shot because the last 100 to 150 feet of this hole are all within trees. So you've got to land on a good angle. But he may have given up so much distance on his drive by going OB relatively early that he's just laying back and going to try to get out of this hole with as few strokes as possible.
And Wysocki turns over and is heading to that canopy that I think you were just mentioning a moment ago. But Ricky not happy with his effort or his result there.
And it's hard to tell whether or not it's a good shot based on Ricky's reaction sometimes.
Yeah, as we know, sometimes Ricky can put it right next to the basket, and you may heard him blurt something out like junk.
He's upset from 3 shots ago that wasn't perfect. That one actually looked pretty good to me. I would think he would be sitting in a good spot. So I don't know if that was just a wave at the crowd that was kind of grumpy because he's still upset about his tee shot, or if that was an actual bad shot. Oh, there's the hyzer. Okay, there you go.
Wow, and that was carrying a very long way. Looked like a great effort by Patrick Brown, given the half wave.
Yeah, little beauty pageant wave there. So Patrick's going to be sitting in a great spot, probably less than 200 feet, relatively open coming into the basket. Just a couple of really big trunks to avoid, but not a whole forest or anything like that. He should be able to have a decent look for his birdie after that second shot.
And like at many of the Pro Tour events, we see some somewhat shortened tee pads that the women have been throwing from or will throw from the weekend. I believe Paige Bjorkis, had she not taken a 3 on this hole from a slightly shorter tee pad? Is that true?
Yeah, slightly shorter, but still 956 feet. So
it's still very much impressive.
Yes. 2 very good shots to then set up for a perfect third shot. So I guess Eagle did just skip onto this. It's a cart path. It's not very much there. It looks kind of like a goat path. I've noticed that they don't have concrete cart paths out here the way that they do on a lot of golf courses. Everything is natural earth like that. So Eagle ripping this, trying to make up for that stroke to see if he can still get his birdie 4.
And it looks like that may have gotten stopped. The question is, did it come down? We heard Corey talking earlier in one of the previous previews that the 2-meter rule is in effect. And what exactly does that mean for our competitors out there?
So if you are ever 2 meters off of the ground, 6 feet 6 inches for all of us Americans here, then you place your mini below that spot wherever you're stuck, and you play with 1-stroke penalty. This seems to be mostly a West Coast rule as far as where it's always in play. Most of the rest of the country plays it as an optional rule, and it's TD discretion. It's been a long time since I've played a tournament that had the 2-meter rule in effect. But it is every event out here in California, and we'll just add it to the list of weird things that Californians do, because I'm not a big fan of the 2-meter rule on courses like this.
And Eric Oakley looked to be using all of that 20 by 30 centimeter rectangle on his lie there, as his foot looked to be just left. Now, again, a little bit more leeway. We've seen that rule, the new rule, come into play quite a bit this year in terms of you have a little bit of give right and left of your mini. It's, I believe, what is that, about come to about 4.5 inches, either left or right of the mini ultimately. So you don't have to be dead center in line with the mini. And I was just noticing his footwork during that particular throw. Looked like he was on that left side.
I'm sure we'll see a screenshot shortly, and somebody is going to start petitioning the PDGA that they need to start calling foot faults, and they're going to yell at Ricky and Eagle and Patrick for not paying attention to Eric.
It's so easy to sit back. We hope that you enjoy watching the live coverage. Also, of course, look for post-production coverage to come in from Jomez Productions along with Central Coast. They were on 2 different featured cards this weekend. During this opening round. So you'll see ultimately 12 different competitors during this opening round on the men's side.
Yeah, so there was Ricky's awful second shot, which left him a really easy up and down, and he'll still get his par and move on to the next hole. Eagle needing to get up and down from here from his par. I'm not really sure what happened there. That was not a very good upshot. Now, Patrick being the only one in position to be able to get his birdie, if he can manage this up and down, he will have the lone birdie on this par 5. Ooh, there's a little meat left on that bone.
A little bit surprising, too. I mean, you're talking about Eagle and you're talking about Ricky, of course, both of them long throwers, usually very controlled throwers. When you're looking at a par 5 that's coming in at nearly 1,200 feet, you have to all but assume they're going to at least walk away with the birdie. So kind of surprising to see the struggles here.
Yeah, I remember talking to some people yesterday that were saying, oh, well, that hole's just easy. You just rip it twice. And we said, well, no, there's quite a bit of OB that can come into play when you're overthrowing like that. There's a little light rain that has started out here. So that'll be curious to see if how long that sticks around and if that affects our players' grip on their disc and if they came prepared for something like this.
Well, and we are located just a few miles from the course. And as I look out the window, I'm not seeing any rain at the moment. We see some light winds. And knowing that it's in the mid to low 60s or even maybe the high 50s at the moment. So just a few miles away, again, with being in the bay and the mountains and everything else that's in this area geographically, we'll have to keep an eye on the weather throughout because there was not rainfall predicted. And we'll see if this light trace of it proves to be any kind of challenge.
Not really sure what Eric is inspecting there on the other side of the tree. Maybe a squirrel was talking to him or something?
That wouldn't be the first time.
That a squirrel is talking to Eric while he's throwing? Is this like a Disney movie where he just communes with all the animals?
Oh, and that throwing into that headwind may have, and he got the nose up, carried that disc off to the left, and I'm not sure if we can quite call that a tap in. We're being challenged here on the group chat as to whether or not what distance constitutes as a tap in, but Eric is left with a little bit there for his cleanup.
Well, this is outside circle 1, so this is not a tap in. Oh, ramps it up on the left side there and sticks in. I'm glad Eagle was able to do that. 2 holes in a row being kind of sloppy around the green. That's something that can stick with you for a few holes and make a player get a little bit frustrated. And this is what Patrick has left for the lone birdie here on hole 10. Well done, PB. Well done. Is there any disc golfer whose name is Jelly? Can we get a doubles team going on here?
I'm sure we could, but first let's listen to a word from our sponsor. And
hole 11 offers a slight reprieve from the distance on the course that we've seen on the front 9. Coming in at 302 feet, this par 3 plays extremely left to right and is perfect for a touch backhand roller. Lefties and players with a good power sidearm will be able to reach the pin, but the backhand turnover can be a bear with the tailwind as well as those bunkers just to the left of the pin.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
For me, it's commentating disc golf along with Dixon Jowers, and we're so glad that you guys could join us. Looks like Ricky Wysocki and the rest of the crew are going to be getting ready to go very soon here on hole number 11. Now, when we talk about, I'll make up a term, birdie pockets. I think we're moving into some birdie pockets right now. These next few holes seem to have been relinquishing a lot of strokes up to the cards before them. So we'll see if these guys can take advantage of just that.
Yeah, this is a relatively short hole. After all of these kind of power shots that we've had over the last several holes, this is one that's gettable, although it is a funky angle, especially for Patrick. This hole calls for a power forehand, but he's probably going to go with the high turnover shot here. Yeah, that looks high enough if it can get some float.
Yeah,
there you go.
You have to make sure that you don't let it pan out. You don't want this to hyzer out. If you're throwing that righty backhand shot, it has to anhyzer the entire length of the hole, because if it pans out, it's going to find itself in out of bounds. I think that's why we're going to see a more preferred route being the forehand. And when you're as good as Ricky Wysocki at it, no problems. He'll switch the cap to forward here.
Over the top. Over the top.
No surprise to see Eric Oakley going with a forehand as well. I'm thinking we're going to see the same from Eagle.
Yeah, this is even though it sets up for the forehand, it's kind of a touch forehand because of that line of bunkers right there. You have to get it high and let it crash left. If you get it too flat, you're gonna end up David Hasselhoffen over there on the beach.
And that ends up just short. It looks like inside the circle. And let's listen to a word from our sponsors from hole 11.
Tempercraft USA. Double-walled 18/8 stainless steel construction keeps it cold while you're hot, keeps it hot while you're cold. Get your customized growlers, tumblers, and sports bottles. With a lifetime warranty and 1% back to the planet. Tempercraft USA. Temper your thirst.
Back it up.
So Eric is going to be left with the longest putt here, just outside circle 1. I'd say maybe 45 or so. But you can see the flag on the basket blowing away from him a little bit. So a little bit of a tailwind here for Eric to try to not mess up the all-star birdie, which looks like is going to happen. But I probably just ruined it for everybody by saying
I'm guessing you did. And we'll check in with Colton Montgomery in just a few moments as we try to put out the jinx on him, or not.
And a little foot stomp there.
I was thinking that was some kind of Irish jig.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could put some square dance music in there.
And a moment ago, we even saw a few of those raindrops we referenced on the camera. We'll have to see if any of the weather or winds affect our players in the final few holes, or if it stays around. High left chain, but it grabs it and pulls it back in. And with the wind pushing at its back, coming in with that much speed and velocity. I'm not going to say that shouldn't have stayed, but that could have just as easily come out with where it went in.
For sure. And the weird thing about the weather patterns around these parts is that storms don't blow through. You can't really like follow them on the radar. They just kind of appear. And this moisture coming in right off the ocean. I mean, as the crow flies, we're probably only, 5 miles from the ocean maybe? But with probably 1 million people in between us and the ocean right now.
And a great comeback there by Eric Oakley. He's going to just be saving the par. And these guys not necessarily in a hurry. We're hearing of a backup as Wysocki puts in for the birdie. We're going to move on to hole 12 with Corey from Central Coast.
Making our way back towards the clubhouse, this 444-foot par 3 can prove to be tough if that headwind is ripping. A seemingly sidearm shot does play well for backhand if you can stick to that committed turnover line. This hole has been the site of a significant amount of work leading up to the event, and we've seen it transition from one of the more wild points of the course to one of the most scenic greens we have to offer.
Let's forget about the car for a moment. Your local Next Gen qualifiers are all fun entry-level PDGA sanctioned C tiers. There are 3 ratings-based divisions, creating a competitive environment for beginners all the way up to amateurs aspiring to become professionals. Don't forget to sign up for the Next Gen Virtual Challenge. You get to play locally and see how you rank nationally. Don't miss out.
Of course, check out Next Gen Disc Golf for all the information with all of the qualifying events that are taking place around the country. Then that moves to a regional series and then ultimately onto the national championships. It'd be great to win a car.
Yeah, I haven't ever done that. I won a radio at my senior night on a raffle, and I think that's the biggest raffle I've ever won.
Wow.
It's a CD player. That was a big deal in 1994.
It certainly was. We're looking at the scores. Simon Lizotte, clubhouse leader, still 8 under. Macbeth 7 under. Colton Montgomery, Dosh, James Conrad, and Nate Sexton all sitting at 6 under par. All but Colton has wrapped up their round. McMahon still sits at 5 down. Girthy, Anthon, and Austin Turner all move in at 5 under par. So great to see. Really no major surprises on that leaderboard. No. Let's start there. Is there any major misses? Someone you would expect to be there that isn't at the moment?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure I'm ready to answer that question, just because I haven't really been studying the leaderboard. I think if Ricky obviously doesn't get back up there into the top 10, that's going to be the big surprise. But he is, he's making hay. He's getting back up there. And there's still several birdies still to go. He's at 2 under par right now, which after that start, that's a pretty good bounce back. That's right. And seeing as how the leader in the clubhouse is only 8 down, that's really not all that far back for where Ricky began his day.
Yeah, and as we just saw the graphic that popped up there momentarily, Ricky staying bogey-free for the last 5 or 6 holes, really turning things around at the moment. And besides just his hat, as he's seemed to flip back and forth between forward and backward. Well, I have to ask, and Corey talked a little bit about during the preview, do you foresee the forehand or the backhand coming out of most of the players on this particular hole?
Well, this is a downhill hole, and the angle going into the basket is a little funky. If you go with the straight kind of power forehand, your angle is going to be wrong. The only way I think that a forehand is going to get there is with some sort of flip-up forehand, hyzer flip that at the end is going to bend slowly back in. For me, the backhand turnover seems to be the right angle. Patrick's got this a little too far right, I think. If you can, he missed the gap on the right. You need to put that way out to the left, something that's going to hold Annie for a while, and then just barely stable up at the end. It is a very, very particular shot that is needed to get close to this hole. Otherwise, you're going to have an obstructed long putt. And that feels like the angle may have been right, but he was too low. And if you hyzer out on this shot, you can find yourself, he went with roller. Yes, so that was very low because rollers are on the ground, as rollers tend to do. Yeah, okay, that's a new thought right there. I didn't it didn't even concern my mind to throw a roller when I was standing on this box.
And McMahon setting up for the backhand turnover. Oh,
No.
he also puts it down for the roller.
Maybe this is why they're better than me, is because I don't think of stuff like this. He's putting, which is more than can be said for a lot of people and more than can be said for the whole group I was playing with the other day.
And even with that long grass, trying to slow it down, Oakley's disc is fighting through. Let's listen to a word from our sponsor on hole 12.
Do you know what the U in U-disc stands for? I've never asked. It just occurred to me. I don't know. Is it just Y-O-U, like you?
I'm sure they'll chime in on the board, but if I had to guess, I would say that is exactly it.
Okay.
It's the shortened version of just YOU, as in U-disc.
Maybe Ulibarri is the silent partner there, and it's U-disc?
He might be. Wysocki with an uphill lunging putt, and that was more of a spin putt, which I think it's pretty fair to say that no one in disc golf can switch between a pitch putt and a spin putt as effectively as Ricky Wysocki.
Well, he does it so much that, I mean, he's just, the rest of us kind of fall into a habit with our one preferred type, and we don't really like the other one. Ricky seems to be very comfortable with both. Now, Paul has been very good with both, but it's always coming out of a comfort level or a feel, the reason he switches, not necessarily because of what the course conditions are.
This can be a little bit of a dangerous putt with that downhill slope, but it looks like Eric Oakley not giving it enough power to get even up and over the side of the basket, let alone go or carry past it.
He was just laying up there, right?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Anytime you've got a putt in your hand and you hit the pole at the ground, you want to say that I was laying up there. Eagle, not usually laying up. Oh no. Okay, not a big roll. Not what you want, but not a big roll off of that.
And as that gets logged online among thousands of other scores with U-disc, Matt from U-disc does tell us it was as in, hey, U-disc.
Right. Oh, hey, you spit out much?
Ouch.
That seemed to hit perfect. Whoa.
And Eagle,
I mean,
wow.
From this side angle, that looked like it hit perfectly flat, perfectly middle, and then just did some little trampoline. How about let's take another look at it here.
We will do just that as we move on to 13 with a whole preview and a replay here on 12. As in, hey,
your disc.
Hole 13 was the site of the first ever ace here at Glen Eagles, collected by Matt Neiman on our Founders Day opening event. Coming in at 347 feet, this par 3's fairway does slope right to left, so the sidearm would play favorably into that grade, but all the blank space out to the right does seem to favor the backhand into the green. Whether it's sidearm or backhand, it doesn't matter, just keep it low, keep it tight, and collect your birdie 2.
So Dixon, after seeing that just a few moments ago, we watched Eagles putt maybe a little bit on the right side. Again, we were already on the right side of that from our vantage point. It looked like it was solid chain, but it did slip out ultimately. The question is, how does he mentally rebound from that? He's putting for birdie, just hits the front of the cage. Now he's bringing it back. He's putting for the par, and it slides out on him. How do you mentally move past that with a third of the course left?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on, if he had had that putt on, say, the 5th hole, and he had already had a bunch of birdies, and that would have been just something he could have shaken off. But after he's had kind of some looseness on the last couple of holes, I'll be curious to see if it's going to affect him coming into this shot. Because for me, this is probably the second easiest hole on the course, with hole 16 coming up here in a little bit. It's just a straight hyzer. You can go high and try to stick it in the ground. You can go low and skip it. There's lots of ways to get to this basket. And I would imagine Eagle would just go with just a power PD2 down the right-hand side. Let it go on hyzer and let it just run along the ground so that maybe he can get a super easy birdie to make up for the bogey on the last.
Just how much skip will Oakley get? And it looks like just the right amount. Puts himself within 10 feet of the pin. Think I can deem that a tap in?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and actually you want to land just outside of that shadow under the tree. Under there is a little muddy spot, or maybe not muddy, but soft ground. You want to hit wider than that to get that ground action. Yeah, that looks fantastic. There you go. Yeah, probably 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet. Well, actually I did a little bit of roll backwards there, so maybe just a touch outside, but sitting really good for Eagle. So let's head it over to one of our sponsor spots.
Patrick Brown sitting at 4 under par and a tie for 10th right now. Oh, and he thought he had it. That was a really good run.
Yeah, and kind of a quiet 10th place here. You wouldn't have thought that he was doing as good as he is relative to the field, because it's just been a pretty boring round. But it's good when you have a bunch of pars and a couple of birdies for your boring round. Ooh, what a bouncer.
And Eagle stares that one down to the bottom of the basket as he's going to walk away with a birdie. That should negate the previous hole's bogey, taken on 12. And Eric with the easy cleanup sits at 3 under par. Patrick finds himself just a few feet away from the pin. We're going to move on to hole 14 here in just a moment. Corey in Central Coast with our San Francisco Open hole 14 preview.
Hole 14 here at Glen Eagles comes in at 263 feet and offers our soft tossers out there in the field an opportunity to keep up with the big guys. Standing at the tee, this does look like a backhand mid-range shot, but with the fairway fading off to the left, throwing that sidearm and giving yourself that easy birdie putt does seem all the more appetizing. Likely to be played well under par, we hope this hole reminds players that while distance is king out here at Glen Eagles, we're still throwing frisbees in the woods.
And welcome back, everyone. Again, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Dixon. Is it Crunchberries? Is that
Sure.
the official or unofficial
I never was a
nickname?
Crunchberries guy. I was just a regular Captain Crunch, or peanut butter Captain Crunch was pretty good. But actually, the thing I always asked for that my mom would never get is Cookie Crisp. You remember that guy? It was just a bowl of cookies that somehow they passed it off as breakfast cereal.
Yeah, that was one way to go about it. Or if you didn't want to go, that route, you could just go grab your own handful of Oreos and throw them into,
Right.
into
Yeah, somehow that was different.
Exactly.
When it poured out of a box, it was okay.
Then, well, we are here on hole number 14, one of the shorter holes that we find out here at the Glen Eagles course. We're excited to be bringing you the action. This is round one. Ricky Wysocki, who started out the round with a number of struggles. Namely, it looked like his finger or a blister possibly. And then he had tried to remedy it in a number of ways, and not sure what he's doing, maybe just possibly ignoring it at the moment, but he sits at 3 under par.
That looked to be quite low coming out of his hand. Harps are known for not doing anything on the ground. So if you had a low shot into that upslope, chances are that he's not sitting anywhere where he's going to be putting. I'm not really sure what Eric is lining up here. Was that a hyzer shot? Yeah, okay. Well,
I think that's good.
again, that was a line that I did not see when we played out here. We just went with the slight turnover backhands or the forehand putters. But it looks like Eagle and Eric may have found this line when they were out here practicing.
I believe we saw a number of women from the FPO field ultimately choose this option as well. Just inside the Mando tree.
Huh. Well, yeah, I would definitely try that because I had a good drive, but I didn't feel good about it at all. It's a very touchy shot. And I had to try to hyzer flip something right at that tree that's about 20 feet off the box.
And some of you may see off to the right, Alyssa Van Lannen, who takes great photos for the Disc Golf Pro Tour and beyond. So make sure you check those out on the Flickr page. Let's listen to a word from our sponsor after Patrick Brown's tee shot on 14. All right, Dixon. So as we're taking a look at the scores, Colton Montgomery withstands the potential jinx.
Yeah, he felt the pressure from Terry talking about the perfect game. and he was able to coast in 6 under par. And actually, if he felt the pressure, it became obvious because he threw OB on his second shot on the 18th hole, needed to hit the putt in order to stay bogey free, and he banged it.
Does it? Nice work.
6
Colton
down,
Montgomery.
no bogeys. Well done, Colton. And I feel pretty good that he was because I loaded up and got Ricky and Paul on my fantasy squad. I think Colton was one of the guys I picked up with my remaining points. So I'm very happy about that putt. So Pat was OB there on his drive. It kind of flared out on him to the left down that slope. So he is going to take, I believe, his first bogey on the round after missing that shot. There you go. Eric's been pretty subdued today. He's usually a little more bouncy, a little more energetic out there on the course. Nice deuce by Eagle as well. And then Ricky cleaning up his par after that low drive.
We're through 14. Let's take a look at what's to come on hole 15.
Hole 15 is very reminiscent of hole 3 from our front 9, as it plays 465 feet downhill and does favor that left to right sidearm play. Backhands beware, because if you do opt for that turnover shot and hyzer out late, that ball golf green and sand trap does come into play. In a final test of will, this basket is raised and exposed to that Glen Eagles wind, forcing decision time when approaching this green.
This is Dan, and this is Tyler. Dan and Tyler like disc, and they like beer, so they combine them in a rigorous scientific process. Disc Golf, a card game that challenges your disc skills, drinking ability, and your friendships. With 3 categories and over 50 individual cards, mix and match. Get rid of cards you don't like, or make your own rules. Disc golf is truly American.
The Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Utah Open, presented by Prodigy Discs, proudly present Dustin Keegan, killing it on hole 17.
Dustin Keegan. Looks like he's going rock.
Yeah, all day on this. I mean, 375 straight at it.
Yeah. He wants something that's not going to go too long into the water. That's going to give him
It is nice. You do have this tree right here off the tee that kind of blocks you from throwing the wide hyzer. So you see a lot of players, and this is a bit wider than I think Dustin wants here. Let's see if he can avoid OB. Oh, wow. Perfect. Yeah, that's...
Wait, 9 now, right? Yeah, that's 9. That rolled into the water too. So I've got Anthony by a stick here.
9 OB strokes, and you're not going to throw it apart. I really like it.
The Utah Open will be held Friday, June 22nd.
Cool. Yes, it's great.
Oh, jeez. Water.
All right, can you hear us now? Wow.
Can you hear
me? Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, wow. Okay, awesome. I mean, I just unplugged everything from Steve's computer and plugged it into mine. So, I guess it is what it is. Did we not miss any holes?
No, Eagle is circle 1.
Yeah, but I mean, that's it, right?
We just missed their drives, right?
And welcome back, everyone.
Hey.
After a little technical difficulties here, we're ready to go. Sounds as if you and I have missed the drives here on hole number 15, the par 3 465 footer.
We missed the video, but we can go to UDisc, and I can see that Eagle is in circle 1. Eric's on the fairway. Ricky is on the fairway, and Patrick is still somehow has just finished putting out on the previous hole.
Okay.
So we've at least got that much info right now.
All right. Well, we are glad you guys have joined us again. Just trying to bring it all home, bring it together here. Just a few holes left to play, 15 through 18 during the opening round. And in the next few moments, we'll also be able to start talking about who we may or may not see on our featured or lead card tomorrow as we bring you the action during the afternoon round. And of course, on the women's side, we'll be bringing you the FPO lead card tomorrow as well. And we're going to work on a little adjustment from what we saw there this morning. Just simply not enough time. There's a really quick turnaround. Madison got off of the course at approximately 12:15 or 12:20, and then had to drive a few minutes to get to where we were to try and do the commentary. So very tight timeline. As we see just a moment ago, it looks like Eric Oakley, who's maybe even added a long sleeve to the wardrobe.
Yeah. This is a fun downhill hole. I saw Dustin Keegan throw a roller and put it pretty much on that log that the basket is in. I'm curious if that's how Eagle got there as well. This is a fun hole that you can get there with lots of different shots. Rollers, forehands, backhand turnovers, even with mid ranges. It's enough downhill, about 50 feet downhill. There you go. And that putt was about 50 feet uphill for Rick. Holy cow. And that was for par.
Wow, Wysocki with a huge putt as he's going to very slowly make his way up to the basket to retrieve it.
And angrily get his disc out of the basket. And there is Eagle for the tap-in deuce on a 463-foot hole. It's like he's good at throwing frisbees or something.
Sure seems like it. Well, he is finding himself in the top few spots, and it will be a matter of if we'll just see him on the lead card with the lead, or if he'll just be among the rest where Simon Lizotte is your outright leader at the moment. We'll be back in a few moments after a whole preview from Central Coast and Corey.
Hole 16 is short, but it can be devastating. Coming in at 283 feet, this hole will feature an island similar to hole 17 at USDGC. One of those holes that can't necessarily make your tournament, but most certainly can break your tournament.
So close. Eagle McMahon lining up the forehand on 16. Seems like such an easy play when you're that good. Oh, no.
No.
And just too much speed. He could have used maybe a little bit more angle or a slower disc. What would you prefer there?
Well, this hole is really just dealer's choice. I threw just a flat slammer shot at it. I thought about going the hyzer. I saw plenty of people throw the forehand. It's just whatever you're comfortable with, but your landing is of supreme importance here. Oakley going for the spike. I hope he got over the line. Yeah, I don't know if that's in or out. He is right next to the line there on the short side of the island. Oh, this is heading to the right side. If that's the harp, it needs to stick like they do. There you go. So we got 3 forehands, and then Pat looks like he's going with the spike shot maybe. Or no, maybe just a traditional overstable mid here.
And he keeps it low. And as they move down the fairway, we'll check in with a word from our sponsor, Grip. A moment ago, we saw Patrick Brown throw that low shot around the hyzer tree on the right side when we were out there watching some players warm up yesterday and get their practice in. We saw a little bit of everything. And I remember saying to Paige Pierce, well, what's your play here? And she's like, it's right in front of you. Just throw it right at the basket. Yeah. And she was going with something like a putter or a mid. And you saw so many different approaches here as Eagle can't save the par from the drop zone. And it looks like Eric Oakley is moving over to the drop zone here as well.
Yeah, he must have been short. Now the rule is if you don't get inbounds from the drop zone, you have to throw again from the drop zone. But it would be exceptionally bad luck to go OB on this shot. I mean, I don't even really understand how somebody would do that.
Or could do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be, you'd see somebody upset if they ended up OB off of that shot.
Well, so interestingly, we should see a little bit of scoring separation take place here. I expect at least one, if not both of these gentlemen to convert on their birdie opportunities. Meanwhile, McMahon and Oakley are looking at bogeys. Simon Lizotte still holding on to that #1 position. It looks like he may get a little reprieve from an Eagle who's chasing him down at the moment. Paul Macbeth also again in the clubhouse at 7 under. And Wysocki cans the birdie.
It's kind of surprising that if we look at Eagle, Nate, and Paul, all guys that are on the lead card right now, all of them took 4s on this hole. And there is Pat in for his birdie. Eagle and Eric will step in to clean up their bogeys, presumably, and walk to these last two holes, probably a little bit miffed that they missed this one. Surprised these guys aren't holding hands while they're putting them in.
They tap in. Let's look at a whole preview from 17.
Hole 17 offers a significant advantage for our long throwers out there, coming in at 451 feet and playing significantly uphill. A roller to the left side of the tree off the tee is the ideal shot, but if you're not feeling confident, feel free to take the hyzer approach to get your par 3. Another hole that we expect to have scoring separation. Look for the final round action to feature aggressive play as players try to catch or secure their lead.
Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention. I think I heard her. There was some crazy graphics going on. What was happening there?
That was one of Steve Dodge's trivia questions for the round. Oh. That he does so many things that you never really know what he's doing, and then he'll show up with his computer and be like, "Hey, watch this."
You could have just left it at you never really know what he's doing. But the group there taking scores, confirming with UDisc. Trying to make sure everything's correct. Danielle, who was recently added to the Disc Golf Pro Tour team, is in there.
And I gave it to you right after we played the par 5, which is 10.
Sounds like from what Eric's saying.
11's wrong. We got 3 2s though.
They're confirming scores. Let's see what they say.
Might have been the first hole that the one up the hill.
11's wrong, right?
11, 12 not right either. 12, 13, 14 will all be
Well,
right.
should we scoot over so they start from there back on the holes?
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
there?
right. Just transfer
11.
2.
I had a 3. You marked every hole. 2. Eric had a 3. You had a 2. I had a 15.
Yeah, it looks like what has happened here is that whenever they passed the card, at some point, whoever had it at that point did not take the hole. Let's say it was on hole 12. They started keeping with hole 13 and they wrote it on hole 12 and so on and so forth. And now they caught up and they realized they're a hole behind. So they're trying to figure out which hole they got off on, double checking with Danielle there and the UDisc scoring.
So let's remove this one here. Yep.
Like we just played a hole so fast that we didn't score?
I guess so. I think it was the uphill one is the one we missed. The one you threw the warship.
Yeah, so in reality, for your paper scorecard like that, as long as your last number is right, and as long as all of the numbers leading up to that add up to whatever you write down last, that's all they care about. The scoring tent is not keeping track of what happens on any individual hole. That's UDisc, which is UDisc is unofficial, but this is the actual official card. So as long as they have the right number of 2s and 3s and 4s, and it adds up to what's there at the end, it'll be fine there once it gets turned in.
We're also putting a considerable amount of trust on UDisc and the UDisc scoring right now, as it looks like they're using it as a reference, which I completely agree with, but you don't want to use it blindly. You want to make sure that in your head you are replaying these few holes so that you know exactly what you got and that is exactly what's being written down. Mm-hmm. And right now it seems as if they're almost like copying. And as we know, for those who cheated on tests in school, if you copy off someone else's paper and it's wrong, it doesn't get you very far.
Then you're wrong.
All right, so hopefully there'll be a full review here.
Yeah, and we'll check when we're done. We'll make sure we do another double check. All right, cool, guys.
Oh, brother, is this going to turn into some other rule snafu here?
It definitely has the potential. I'm just going to say that right now. So go ahead, bookmark it, put this spot, and file this away here on hole number 17.
So this hole is this is one of the holes on the course that I feel is just an absolute tweener. It's 442 feet. It goes uphill about 50 feet, and a good shot is going to land about on that road right there. And Ricky doesn't know that all that's happening.
Ricky again reacting to his finger.
Yeah, I mean, you rip this and you end up 100 short. And then you lay up and you take your 3 and you move on to the next hole. There's only a few guys in the field that have enough power to actually get up here for the deuce.
I foresee plenty of 3s being taken here throughout this weekend.
Yeah, really the only way that you're going to get in trouble is if you really go for this and turn it over. There is some OB up there, but it might even be too far away up to the right. It's almost pin high off to the right-hand side. So it may be the only people that can get to the basket are also the only people that can reach the out of bounds.
And Eagle, even with throwing a roller, still doesn't get all the way to the pin. It looks like he's going to have a putt there for birdie, but even with his massive distance, not able to reach the pin.
Yeah, that had some serious RPM on it, and you saw the way that it was just barely putting up the hill. It looks like a flat shot from the tee box right here, but trust me, it's not. The elevation profile on the caddy book says this is 60 feet uphill. Eric's got his at a fine angle, but now it starts the climb. Yeah, and he gets right up to Circle 2's edge and then peels out.
All right, let's listen to a word from our sponsor from 17. Welcome back. As we're moving up hole number 17, we were just discussing if we're going to see anything outside of the par 3s on hole number 17 or not. It doesn't look like anyone threw any miraculous shots. We'll see if Eagle can give it a bid from where he was at, but Ricky Wysocki, forehand approach from the fairway.
Yeah, moving up hole 3 is the right phrase there. Looked like Ricky maybe hit that tree. Wow, that's going to leave probably outside circle 1 putt for his par. I think Patrick is getting ready here from probably Circle 2's edge, maybe just a little bit outside. Oh, no, he was quite a bit outside Circle 2, but in an easy enough spot, which, I mean, this is kind of what happens on this hole. You put your drive in the middle, you put your upshot down there by the basket, and you take your par and you move on.
Is that not a Paige Pierce lunging kind of jump putt? I thought she had that patented.
She does, but hers go in, though. That's how we tell the difference between that right there.
And we see the wind blowing from left to right for Eagle's birdie putt. If you look at his back foot, I'm not sure if that's at all on a uneven ground, but that was...
That was an uncomfortable looking putt. That didn't seem normal Eagle stance-ish.
It did not. And Ricky, surprisingly, still has a little work to do. He is just barely inside circle one, and he's waiting for the crowd in the gallery, maybe it's the next card, to move out from directly in his line of view, his line of sight behind the basket. Ricky kicking up a little bit of the grass and dirt there to see if he can get a wind read other than the flag we see.
Actually, he might be just outside the circle.
I'm going to call Ricky Wysocki. He's going to can this, but working a little bit hard here for a 3 if he does.
Bangers.
Wow. Good putt by Wysocki.
It's pretty frustrating as another player when somebody like Ricky of that caliber, and you think, I'm going to get a stroke on him. And then they stick one in your nose like that. It aggravates me so much. Yeti used to do that to me all the time. All right, he's 80 feet out, and I'm parked for the birdie. Oh, he's still got the box.
No problem for Yeti. We're moving on to the final hole. Let's take a look at the preview.
Hole 18 was designed with an exciting finish in mind, and that is just what we think we'll get. Coming in at 707 feet, this par 4 features an OB lake to the left side of the fairway, so players are sure to err on the right side before approaching this extremely trepidatious green. Step 1 on your second shot, avoid the OB ball golf green. Step 2, avoid the hazardous bunkers. Step 3, impress the gallery.
And Dixon, it looks like we've caught up to the second to last group. They are, in fact, on hole number 18. And as we start to close out the day, they've, of course, have anywhere from 3 to 5 more shots to throw probably here to finish out the round. But we have to start thinking and talking about who we're going to see on that lead card tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And again, some familiar faces and names up there on the top right now.
Yeah, really, it's just up to Eagle. Does he want to go and play with those guys, or does he not? If he can get a birdie on the last, he will guarantee his spot. If he's not able to birdie the last, then it's going to come down to a tiebreaker between himself, Doss, JC, Sexton, and Colton Montgomery. So quite a crowd there. I would guess that Doss is going to get the nod. If they're going by PDGA numbers, he probably has the biggest there. And then I don't know if it's Eagle, Nate, or JC that's going to have that next spot.
Well, I believe they are. In fact, they do sort ahead of time per PDGA number. And as you saw the lineup there, we'll see how that shakes out. We saw a few fist bumps and handshakes there on the final card as they're just about getting ready to throw their tee shots here in a little while. Ricky Wysocki had a smile on his face. So his finger can't be feeling too bad if he's actually busting out a smile here on the 18th hole.
Yeah, because he's not much of a smiler on the course. Off the course, see, this is one of the things that I love about Ricky. Off the course, he's a goofy kid. On the course, you think, man, if we make eye contact, I need to apologize. Like he is focused when he is on the course.
And also out there, again, Sean Jack once again realizing he was on camera, had to immediately go to the shades. Yeah. Sean, you're not that cool if we see you put the shades on every time.
Yes. So hole 18 here, the drive, it's just how much do you want to leave for your upshot? Rip it and make sure you avoid the left and the right OB. And then you're just going to have to manage. Yeah, this is a bomb if you can stay away from the stuff on the left. Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic spot to be. Great drive right there by Rick.
Ricky way past it. Everybody in the group, some high fives. Patrick Brown second on the tee. And Patrick also staying in the clear, nothing to worry about in terms of OB or penalties or hazard, not on the tee shot at least.
Yeah, if you hyzer one out too much, there is a bunker hanging out there on the left, or if you turn something over, there is woods there on the right that will greatly impede your second shot. But these guys have the distance to get past that pinch point.
I think you're going to see a similar result to Wysocki's, and he's done just that, maybe just with a little bit more distance.
Yeah, that's a landing area that I am not invited to.
Well, you are. It would just be your second shot.
Well, that is drastically out of my reach from the tee box.
And also managing to keep it away from the trouble is Eric Oakley. We're going to listen to a word from our partners as we move down hole 18.
Are you currently looking for the one? How do you get hooked up usually?
Through friends,
Players' parties.
sometimes even fans.
And how's that been working for you?
Not so good.
Have you ever tried looking online?
Never.
You should check this site out.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Find your go-to disc at blankinkdiscs.com today. 2018 Tour Support discs available now.
Gotta get one.
I need one.
You're back with Patrick Brown throwing his second shot. And how daunting of an approach is this?
It just feels like no matter where you're going to land, there's OB. There's so many. You have to clear a green. There's 3 bunkers there. There's this weird upslope that it's not OB, but just looking at it, you think, I don't want to be there. So, I mean, it is an intimidating second shot when you're back as far as PB was there. Now, Ricky and Eagle look like they just have maybe standstill putter shots for as big as their drives were. Eric has a felon into the basket, but Eric has a felon into every basket, no matter where he's at. That's what he's trying to throw. So this should be a super comfortable shot for these final 3. Whoa, doctor.
Of all our disc golfers, does Eric have the best chance for getting on Dancing with the Stars?
Well, I don't know if he'll be the first to get voted off, but he's got a chance to get voted on, that's for sure.
We have to take a look at this 18th hole and who has birdied it. Simon Lizotte, Paul Macbeth, James Conrad, Avery Jenkins, and Double G. All of those players finish in the top 10. All of those players birdie hole 18. Do you see any similarities with them?
You can't be in the top 10 if you don't birdie hole 18. Is that what you're saying?
That's one reverse way of looking at it. I think you're also seeing that those are some of the furthest throwers that we find anywhere at this tournament. When you think about Lizotte, Double G, Avery Jenkins, James Conrad. So distance definitely at an advantage here on hole 18. And Eagle McMahon, as you said, putting himself in a great position to follow up with a birdie himself. And looks like he's going to do just that, and Eagle should have that short tap in to put him in a tie for second place with Paul Macbeth at a 55.
Yeah, only 20 players getting the birdie on this hole, so about 17% is what UDisc is telling us. It is a tough second shot. For as much as you just get to rip on the first, the second is very, Very tight. You need to be very surgical on that second shot coming in.
Well, and if you're thinking about looking for night crawlers or any golf balls, we've just given you a lay of the land there.
There you go.
In order to be able to locate some. Looks like next we're going to be having Patrick throw now. Or I'm sorry, correct, Ricky Wysocki.
No, this is Patrick.
Or
this
is Patrick?
This is circle 2 putt. Yep.
All right.
Ricky ended up kind of halfway between Eagle and Eric on the little stairs going up the side slope.
A great run by PB.
So Eric has this downslope in a bush towards a bunker.
Circle's
edge.
Yeah, circle's edge.
For his last throw of the day.
Anything but routine.
Hopefully his last throw of the day.
And he's going to take a moment, make sure he's got a good game plan for this. Eric with some solid putting throughout the day. This is to complete the round.
Oh no.
Oh, and what a mistake. It does. Or should I say a flag stop that?
Hit the flag. The 2 millimeter bendable metal flag stopped his disc from going into the hazard.
And Wysocki finishes out with the birdie and comes into the clubhouse with a 57. That's going to put him in that tie for 8th place along with a few others.
So before anybody starts to freak out, this is a hazard. This is not OB.
So you play it where it lies with penalty if you're inside of it, but if you're not.
So you can still play from there. You cannot be standing out of bounds when you play a shot, but you can be in a hazard. So Pat to clean up, and if Eagle can tap in this 12-footer for his birdie, he'll come in with 7, and Ricky will come in with a 5. So even though Ricky was 6 shots behind Eagle after the first 4 holes, he clawed back to only be down to him 2 shots at the end of the round.
A very impressive performance there by Ricky Wysocki, who clearly was battling his finger injury throughout that entire round. We saw him with a couple of different solutions. Didn't seem like any of them worked, and he may have ultimately just kind of fought through it. And I think he's going to probably go to the pharmacy or something tonight, maybe get some bandage or liquid skin or whatever it might be.
I'd recommend going to Home Depot and just get some super glue. Pack it on there and pop a bunch of Advil and come out here and just try to get through the next 2 days and then let it heal up before Beaver State.
All right. Well, we've got a very exciting card for you in store tomorrow. Simon Lizotte, he is your leader. He shoots the 54 and 8 under par. We have Paul McBeth and Eagle McMahon both shooting the 7 under par, and then joining them due to the lowest PDGA number. He's in the 11,000s. That will go to Nate Doss. He shoots a 6 under. Right on his tail, though, will be James Conrad, Nate Sexton, Colton Montgomery, and then just behind them will be Avery Jenkins, Double G, Josh Anthon, Ricky Wysocki, and Austin Turner, all in the top tie for 8 right
Those
there.
are some fantastic cards there at the top of this leaderboard.
It's going to be a very exciting day, and we're looking forward to the exciting action that we'll see on the women's side as well. So we're going to go ahead and close things out. It's been a really great day and an opening round here at the 2018 San Francisco Open presented by Innova. We've got to thank our cameramen out there on the crew, of course, Chad on the catch cam, Trent running around on the throw cam. I'd like to thank Johnny V and Gary to the O back at the controls, Dixon, Crunchberry, Jowers, and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, for all of the Pro Tour staff and for everyone here on the San Francisco Open staff, along with your local San Francisco Public Libraries. We appreciate you guys. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the live action. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smash Box.